caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one, man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, right guys, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that, stop that, stop that.
The Florida Panthers, Stugotz, have an amazing opportunity here in front of them, an opportunity that the University of Miami basketball teams kind of squandered in terms of building in South Florida what Tampa has built north of here, which is a community somehow in Tampa that cares a great deal more about hockey than it cares about baseball, even though their baseball organization is better than most of the baseball organizations, smarter than most of the baseball organizations. But you have to have the winning in order to create the memories that trigger generational support. And I was talking to a couple of black friends of mine, Stugotz, who have taken their young children to Panthers games over the last 2 years. And both of them have said the same thing, which is, my kid has been hooked since hearing the goal horn followed by people are throwing rats on the ice. Kids not old enough to totally understand everything that they're watching, but are old enough to know what the feeling is when dad is happy and why are there rats raining from the sky. I don't know what your guys' earliest childhood sports memories are. I remember mine distinctly. I remember the sights, the sounds. I remember the smells, Stugotz, of the first time I was in the Orange Bowl with truly terrible seats. Truly terrible, because the only ones my father could get in an exile home that was filled with fear, and I didn't know that we didn't have money because no one else around us had money, but the only tickets that we could get to anything were the ones that no one else wanted. When the Bills stunk and O.J. Simpson was coming to town, and all they had was O.J. Simpson. And so I remember how small my hand felt in my father's as he sort of dragged me through a noise of a place that I didn't even have access to Disney World at that point. So my world was super, super small. And so I'm feeling this feeling of, what is this place? What is the energy of this? Why is my father bringing me here? And it's my introduction to sports. I can remember very little else from childhood memories of this age, but I do remember that feeling. And the Panthers are in the middle of providing it for a generation. There have been precious few things that felt like that over the last 30 years with this hockey team.
The smells you mentioned from the Orange Bowl, those were bad smells, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, truly terrible smells.
Rust, must,
urine, vomit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stale old beer that had been there from seasons
Imagine
prior.
Imagine a child's confusion as, why does a place that smells this bad feel this good?
I miss that place so much. I mean, tetanus shots. You'd cut your elbow on something going to that place.
You poor kid.
It is. It's a trauma I carried with me for a long time.
One of my favorite things is it could be a sellout packed house. So many people got into that stadium without a ticket during the big games. But in the lower bowl, beneath the overhang, there would always be these little pockets where no one would be standing, and there you would have like a little border, kind of like a little mosh pit,
right? Because
urine was spilling down from above, and you did not want this liquid, this mystery smelly liquid coming down on you.
Mike, to Dan's original point, don't you think the Panthers are kind of set up to carry this forward here? The team is young. They have a lot of guys under contract.
Yes.
The ownership seems to take this very, very seriously.
Dan mentioned the University of Miami and their college basketball teams kind of wasting an opportunity. I'd agree. It's also a very different sport. You don't have players under contract, especially nowadays. You can play for 4 schools in 4 years if you want. The 96 Panthers are probably the closest comp to squandering the opportunity.
Yeah.
But that was an expansion team that had a ton of veterans. There were a ton of guys, not a lot of young guys, not a lot of long-term contracts. Even though Barkov has played and Ekblad have played here for 10-plus years, they're still in their 20s. You have Reinhardt coming up as a free agent. The expectation is, and I know he said yesterday he wants to be here. You have Gustav Forsling on a gem of a deal locked up for a long time. You have Matthew Tkachuk locked up for a long time. And the Bobrovsky contract does come off your books in a little bit. So, yeah, they're poised to be in this conversation for several years after.
I also think one of the great things they have is they have a leader in Tkachuk who tells everyone, hey, playing in Florida for this organization is great.
Well, they talk about this all the time, the players around the team. They do like the anonymity that they have wandering around all of South Florida in a way that doesn't come with a ton of celebrity. And then when you are recognized by people, it feels a little bit better to have the celebrity, because they have a genuine appreciation for you, and it's not a crowd of people gathering the way that it does, every time LeBron has lunch in Toronto. It's not an insanity. It's a little more comfortable, and you're just feeling a little bit of gratitude here and there as opposed to having it immerse your entire life. But when it comes to building blueprints on things in the history of South Florida sports, that original Panther team that Mike talks about was not just veteran-laden. It was a bit of a fluke. So it wasn't something that could be sustained. When you think of things that are sustainable, you think about Heat 2010, 2014, and you think about the University of Miami replenishing championship recruitment. Everything else down here, Marlins get broken up when they win championships. They don't have sustaining things. The Dolphins have been bad forever. There's not a even this incarnation of the Dolphins that has a great deal of hope in it. The Bills going to come due on Tyreek Hill very shortly.
Yeah, but you have faith finally that the organization is doing the right things, and as long as that head coach is there, you feel confident in your offense. I think for the first time in my life down here, outside of when they had Marino, you're going to be a part of that conversation. You're going to be playing meaningful games into December.
Because it feels like McDaniel will be down here for at least a decade, right?
Yes, it does.
It really does.
The thing about this, though, that to me is the most invigorating of all of it is it's here. You have the ability to be Tampa. Tampa turned into a hockey town that Tom Brady had to come and wrestle away from that city, because baseball has been better than everyone in Tampa for a long time, and they weren't able to do it because in the playoffs, they haven't been able to sustain the thing that you have to sustain, which is create the momentum that gets people more and more excited until they're unbearably excited, and then give them a Game 7 for everything. You make fans forever there.
And South Florida is about to find out exactly why this is the most special trophy in North American pro sports, because summers with Stanley are a real thing. That cup is, if you're out and about in Broward County, hopefully one day in Dade, you're going to see that thing out. They're going to be celebrating all summer long with it, and when that thing enters a room, it is the belle of the ball. And it is unlike anything else here in North American sports. The celebration that is attached to that carries over for months on end.
I'm so over the Rays. How smart they are. You know how smart they are? Smart enough that they put wild card banners up. That's what real winners do. They celebrate wild cards. Get out of here. Rays. How about be smart enough to win a World Series?
He's right.
Rays.
I mean,
they have one AL pennant, maybe two, if even that. Never won the World Series. Are they that smart? Can't figure out how to last all the way through October?
They win 100 games with coupons, but Billy does know more baseball.
Win the big ones.
More baseball than most. Billy yesterday just correctly predicted a home run out of nowhere.
What?
Yeah. Well, I got this weird text from Juju saying, well, it's through Taylor. What? It doesn't matter. But it was like, DraftKings were doing this home run special. We'd like to pick you to hit a home run, which I'm like, that's nearly impossible. How am I going to do that? And then I got lucky.
You've been very good with betting in general. I don't think that we have a rabbit's foot that is better on gambling stuff than Billy. His information might not be good, but he's been pretty lucky with public gambling.
His information wins. I mean,
you want to see the home run? We have the home run. If for whatever reason you want to see an Anthony Santander home run in the 8th inning to make it a 10-8 game in Baltimore.
What?
Look at that. Oh, wall scraper.
Opposite field.
Opposite field. Now, here's the thing.
I love how they break up the syllables in his last name.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Here's my thinking on it. I didn't know that. So here's my thinking on this. I looked up, okay, who's the worst pitcher of the day? Or the pitcher that's given up the most home runs? So I found the pitcher that's given up the most home runs, and it was the starting pitcher for the Guardians. And then I looked up, well, like, who's leading the league in home runs? And Gunnar Henderson was an option because he was 2 in the league, right? And I was like,
the Orioles are going to be good for 10 years.
yeah, but I was like, Gunnar's too obvious, right? Let me not pick the guy that has the second most home runs in the league. Anyone can do that. Let me go down. Oh, tied for 5th, another Oriole. Let me pick that person. So I was thinking, the starting pitcher that gives up the most home runs, the 4th most home runs against a hitter who's 5th in the league in home runs, this is going to happen early. Oh, it didn't. He was looking bad throughout that entire game. And Gunnar hit a home run in the first inning. I was like, oh, I should have gone with Gunnar. Every person I talked about yesterday behind the scenes, Shohei hit one in the first inning. Everyone was hitting home runs yesterday, except Anthony until the 8th. And then I got you your dinger. I don't remember what it's called.
Dinger?
Home run dinger something.
What you got today?
Sponsored by Draft. No. That's not
You
gonna
one and done?
I haven't
You're
been
on a roll.
I haven't been asked to be doing this every single day. Now, if you ask me later and I have to do it, I'll figure one out. But anyway, no one cares.
Bad information. I mean, Billy studied. He put some research into this. I'm proud of him. Do it again.
There used to be this contest on MLB.com where it was like, so they had 2. They had a hit streak one where you had to pick someone to get a hit every day, and if you broke DiMaggio's streak of 56 straight games, the prize was like $1 million. And then it just kept growing because it's impossible. And I don't know if they still do it. I doubt that they do. But at one point it was like you win $5.6 million if you could predict a person to get a hit in the game. Not the same person. Every day you could pick a different person to get a hit. And if they didn't play, then they gave you kind of like you can do it again tomorrow. Impossible. Then they had one, I remember, I don't know why I remember this. You had to pick home runs. And I think it was like if you get whatever the number was, you won some big cash prize, right? And the person ended up successfully doing like 9 straight games, so they would have won the prize. But there was no replay at the time. And the person that they picked was Miguel Cabrera, and he hit one over the wall, a pro player that hit the guardrail behind the wall and bounced back in. And since there's no replay, they said it was a live ball when it was actually a home run. And then the way that the MLB like did a make good, I think they gave the person like All-Star game tickets or something. These are the things that stay in my brain that are completely useless, and I can't remember basic things.
Well, what's interesting is that you say that you have a bunch of useless information.
It's all useless. I don't have any useful knowledge. Like if you were to ask me, give me something
predicted
useful,
a home run
I
hitter.
simply
that's
cannot
useful.
give you useful information. It's all useless, and I can't purge it. I don't know how to get rid of it.
Usually you do so because it dribbles out of your mouth yammered on this show.
In a useless way. That's what I'm saying. I can't use my base of knowledge in any helpful, meaningful way. It's just for bad.
Yeah, and
The first step is admitting it, Billy.
and we have a contract year with DraftKings.
I'm killing it for them.
This is a sponsored segment that you just referred to as Home Run Dinger something.
Yeah.
That we are partner with this organization to promote the things they have that are not named Home Run Dinger something.
I'm not the PR person. I'm the expert on the sports, and that's what I did. I experted.
Yep. You got it right. That's all that matters. I mean, come on.
Well, no.
I mean, someone put that bet in yesterday on
Stugotz.
Billy's advice, and they got it right. They want some money.
Stugotz, you're going to be having the career you've had and say sponsorship doesn't matter?
Totally fair.
Okay.
It matters, but when it counts, it was called DraftKings Homerfest.
Home Run Dinger something is what you just
Yeah,
called
DraftKings
him.
Homerfest. I remember saying DraftKings Homerfest. I don't know about you.
Happy summer grilling season, everybody. We're all the manly grill masters out there. I do it like maybe once a year. But I love grilling, and I love grilling with a Miller Lite in my hand because the pairing is just unbeatable. Miller Lite is the best. I've told you this several times over, but is also the best for many occasions. Making good times Miller time. Making grilling time Miller time. That's what you need to do. Because with a Miller Lite in hand, grilling doesn't just taste great, it tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces.
I have in front of me a piece of paper that has created, Stugotz, what I'm going to describe as a gurgling, simmering rage that is about to explode in a way that this show often uses as fuel for creativity. So I'm going to need some help from the group here because I haven't felt the feeling that I'm presently having simmering and gurgling in 10 years. Lucy may not have access to the last time I felt this. So let's just play for her the video package, Lucy, of 10 years ago, how it is that I ended up getting suspended from ESPN for something involving billboards that is now returned here with this piece of paper that has enraged me to give you, Lucy, the context of why it is I'm so angry right now.
Now at 11, it's a sign of the times. This billboard poking fun at LeBron James went viral yesterday. Well, tonight, the Miami radio host behind the billboard, has been both silenced and suspended. A message delivered. You're welcome, LeBron. We showed you the controversial billboard in Akron last night. Now the ESPN radio host who paid for it is now paying the price. News Channel 5's Michael Baldwin live in LeBron's hometown, where Dan Le Batard's silence definitely has people talking.
Yeah, Danita, we won't be hearing from ESPN host Dan Le Batard anytime soon. That's because he's been suspended for 2 days. He's been suspended for putting up signs like these throughout the city of Akron. And notice, Danita, I said these. That's because there's more than one. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but six. That's right, 6 of these You're Welcome LeBron Love Miami billboards spread across Akron. They cost about $100,000 and they were put up by ESPN TV and radio host Dan Le Batard, who lives in Miami. Well, the 4-letter network suspended him for 2 days because they say they had no idea what he was up to. They released a statement saying, in part, his recent stunt does not reflect ESPN standards and brand. We were not made aware of his plans in advance. Le Batard sent a text to a reporter in response to the suspension, which reads, I guess ESPN didn't find it at all quite as funny as I did. Nope. And neither did people from Akron, like the LeBron James Grandmother's Fan Club.
I did not like the billboard, no. Don't mess with my child. Don't mess with our child.
A Miami Herald reporter spoke to Le Batard and says we may be out of bounds on the sign's message.
Dan did it all in jest. To him, it was all good-natured fun. You know, it was never meant as any sort of harsh criticism of LeBron.
No matter what the billboard's message is, people in Akron think ESPN did the right thing by having Le Batard sit on the bench a few days.
Well, I think he did it underhanded then. You know, if they didn't know about it, they did the right thing by suspending him.
Didn't know about it. They weren't listening to the show.
Ever. We did a week on that.
$100,000.
It wasn't that much. It was not nearly that much. And I need to tell some of the backstory here. But, Lucy, what are your thoughts here as you see this, I'm assuming, for the first time?
Greg Cody has aged 30 years in 10 years. He looks so different. Crazy.
Yeah, sounds different.
It was benign.
Sounds different as well.
Yeah.
No idea what I was up to. After that, we got a babysitter, right? Because there wasn't anybody actually listening to our show. We got Liam became our babysitter after that, correct?
Yeah, we had a babysitter at that point, though, too. And like you said, we were talking about it on the air.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a week.
It was kind of weird for them to say we weren't aware of it. Now, were we a little coy when they asked for details? Perhaps. I also wasn't an ESPN employee at the time, despite producing programming for them.
I will give you the details now because it was not $100,000. What happened here is that we tried to put in the Cleveland Plain Dealer a newspaper ad that cost $100,000, and they wouldn't allow it. And I was mad on behalf of free speech journalism, on behalf of being
him leaving and taking the economy with him.
Let's be honest. You were mad because they rejected your ad.
Yeah, we were all mad because he left.
Right.
I was mad for a couple of reasons, though, because it was, of course, all of that. But also, I was mad on behalf of the newspaper industry, which at the time was struggling, for not taking my money and then allowing me to put up those billboards for less than $10,000. So they denied themselves 10 times the profit And I did it anyway. We did it anyway that way with billboards that are incredibly cheap in Akron.
You were trying to help newspapers, of course, right?
It was a noble gesture.
That's right. It was an act of altruism.
And it was also, if you're a sports fan from that area, you're happy that your newspaper stood up to someone trying to get one over on you. Billboard company, they let you down.
That was also, if I remember correctly, just phase one that the suspension then killed, because I remember there were discussions of Skyriders over the LeBron welcome home party, and then there was debates as to, well, why would we have Skyriders at night? But how much does it cost?
I was going there.
Mike was going to go. I believe the rent is too damn high. Guy was offered to be a security guard.
His bodyguard, yeah.
What a great pop culture time capsule that was.
I did have it wasn't skywriting. We did have banners set up that ESPN then nuked. Like
literally.
We weren't. No, literally. They did. They used they used nuclear weapons on some banners that were behind a plane. Yes, Mo Davenport. They spent a lot more money doing that than
Seems
they did.
excessive.
It did seem excessive. The whole thing seems a little excessive. But I'm here again. Now I'm mad at a billboard company because we have been working. I thought this was going up last night at midnight, the Greg Cody billboards. Everything was done. Everything's been done for days.
Right dimensions and everything?
Yeah, we got those right.
We got the dimensions right, everything.
The dimensions haven't been right for days.
No, the dimensions were not initially right. Otherwise, we might not have gotten this letter I now have gotten.
Did they change the size of the billboard? Was it a funky shape?
I'm going to go ahead and blame that one on General Meadowlark malfeasance.
These are digital billboards, right? So it's a whole different dimension.
I have been very disappointed about a number of different obstacles that have gotten in the way of these billboards. But yes, they were going to be digital billboards that were supposed to go up yesterday. I was told they were going up last night at midnight. And now this is what I have gotten. Apologies, but your ad request will not be processed, and I'm no longer able to assist with this. Response from our team is as follows. We have declined your request for advertising. Part of our creative approval process includes aligning with community standards and respecting the sensibilities of all stakeholders, including our audience, who in this case are the citizens of Edmonton, as well as our partners, and this messaging does not meet those standards. The messaging is just Greg Cody's face smoking a cigar saying Greg Cody was right and you know it. That's all that it says. That's all it says on the
Maybe
on the
the
billboard.
Cigar's a problem. Did you offer to remove the cigar? Maybe it's a smoking situation.
Great job by those folks in Edmonton. It's a great and not real talk from a business standpoint. I would not be putting those up because those are going to get destroyed. I saw the 30 for 30 on what happened in Vancouver. No. I'm not going to be putting that up to piss off my community and have them take it out on my digital billboard. No way.
Okay,
great call by them to
fine.
protect
I'm
those
being
sports
censored,
fans.
and I'm not going to allow it. And that we
It's
have
a different country. You can't claim free speech.
We have a mole in our midst here. We have someone on the other side signing with the billboard company. This is censorship. This is a broken North America.
But you can't say this is America, Jack. You just can't.
I can say this is America.
No, you can't.
Canada, we've got your trophy. We've got more strength here than you do. You don't know how to win this trophy.
Our
Canada.
entire team is Canadian.
This is North America, Jack. Kachuk's American, proudly.
We have freedom in this country to put up billboards in Akron.
Barkov, first Finnish captain ever.
I had no idea.
Barkov's the first captain to never be in a fight to win a Stanley Cup.
Amazing. Thought he was Russian.
He is part Russian.
Oh.
Yeah. I had a friend confide in me who was a diehard for the last few years. And he's like, can I be honest now that we've won the cup? I'm like, what? He's like, for the first entire full season I was watching hockey, I thought Alexander Barkov and Sasha Barkov were brothers. I thought they were like the Sedins.
Would you like the rent is too damn high clip, Mike? Would you like to revisit the time of who it is that you were going to go to?
This was Mike's bodyguard.
I'm not. No, this wasn't your bodyguard. I don't think that this was your bodyguard. Was this your bodyguard?
This was discussed. I think by the time I was the whole trip to Akron, they pulled the plug on it. I think 7 hours before I was supposed to board. This rent is too damn high guy got phased out of the plans some 12 hours earlier.
He was asking for money too.
He was asking for an appearance fee.
A lot went into it. Like there was multiple billboards. Then we couldn't actually use the rings because it was a copyrighted design. So Angel had to redesign the rings, and there was a whole font debate.
That's why the
and then we
Stanley
did the
Cup
Comic
got,
Sans
the Stanley
font.
Cup just got taken out of the Greg Cody was right thing because you can't use some of these things. Let's go ahead and play the rent is too damn high guy, please.
I represent the rent is too damn high party. People are working 8 hours a day and 40 hours a week to some a third job. Women can't afford to take care of their children, feed their children breakfast, lunch, and dinner. My main job is to provide a roof over your head, food on the table, and money in your pocket. This is politics as usual. Playing a silly game, but it's not going to happen. The rent too damn high movement, the people I'm here to represent can't afford to pay their rent. They're being laid off right now as I speak. They can't eat breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Listen, someone's stomach, child's stomach just growled. Did you hear it? You gotta listen like me.
Okay,
let's
Mr.
talk
McMillan.
about the issue. People
Mr.
can't afford to pay their
Cuomo,
rent.
30
Stop.
seconds for you, sir.
Rent is too damn high. As a karate expert, I will not talk about anyone up here because our children can't afford to live anywhere. Nowhere. There's nowhere to go. Once again, why? You said it, the rent is too damn high.
Thank you, Mr.
We need that party in Miami.
Legend.
That's the one party we need to have
Mr.
in
Cuomo.
Miami, but that's not the guy who was going to protect you, Mike.
I think that guy got bumped for Charles Ramsey.
It was Charles Ramsey. Yeah, from the area.
We will update you on Charles Ramsey in a second. We will get our together.
What did he do?
He saved the girl that was held captive.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Oh,
a kidnapped girl. We'll get to that in a second. We've got a delayed penalty here, Mike Ryan. I'm
Wow.
sorry, you're going to have to go to the penalty box for 2 minutes here. You confuse the rent is too damn high guy with Charles Ramsey.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes for lying.
Lying, confusing. I mean,
Yeah, this is one of those times that I'm headed to the box, but the ref got the wrong guy here. The ref got the wrong guy. No. I like the penalty kill here. You guys go for it. No.
Kevin Stenlin over here.
Well, you don't want Kevin Stenlin off the penalty kill right now. I'll tell you that.
that's my penalty. I mean,
We will get to the explanation for this in a second because I don't think that Lucy knows who Charles Ramsey is either. I don't think Jeremy knows. And speaking of all of that, because
what a weird time, huh? Just reminiscing and looking back at all these people.
yeah, summer.
Odd.
going
2024.
Going through our history is something that I always enjoy doing. It's nice to see Roy again. Roy, are you sober? Are you more sober today than you were yesterday?
Not for long.
Okay. You're still celebrating. What are the best parts of the last 24 hours? What are the sights and sounds? What are some of the things you've enjoyed watching about your hockey team celebrating?
Man, I really enjoyed watching that cup going into the ocean. Maybe it is a corrosive property, the salt water. Maybe some of the names are going to come off that cup, but I'm sure they're going to.
Can I ask you something? So you were there. What does the keeper of the cup do? Was he in sight at all, or like because they get their days, right? But like you also hear of ways they defile the Stanley Cup, and like I don't think that the Stanley Cup guy is like a voyeur, right? So if like someone is doing something, funky with the cup. Is he standing in the corner watching, or does he like disappear? So like when it goes into the ocean, what does he do?
I'm sure he was still in the elbow room. I did not see him. Because they had the cup the entire day. But I didn't see him. But I'm sure he was in the vicinity.
I would imagine that you asked the keeper of the cup, "Hey, can we throw this thing in the ocean?" before you actually do it. You need his approval, don't you?
No, I don't.
Really?
I don't think they got
his job is keeper of the cup.
No,
he protects the Stanley
Stugotz,
Cup.
We have talked to a number of different players over the years. I don't remember who the Dallas Star was that we talked to about things that have been done with the cup, parties, weird parties, eating things, spaghetti out of the cup, where guys are partying with rock stars and metal bands, enjoying God knows what kind of debauchery with the cup. They have many cups. The cup often gets broken. They have to fix it a great deal, and they come back every year with a cup that seems like it's okay. But there's no way that partying with hockey teams, I don't know that people truly understand how hockey teams rage.
Oh, absolutely not. Those boys can party, I can tell you that. And if they do damage to the cup, they'll send it to a shop in Montreal, they'll fix it, and they send it right back out.
Mike Ryan has been sent out, and I do think it was Billy that caused that problem. And Billy doing quiet anarchy is one of his more enjoyable characteristics. But I do want to just get everything I can, Roy, from what your 24 hours have been, because you've been weakened by the last 24 hours, and your unusual career path in this space, which is to choose a broadcasting career as a man of few words, a man of not many words.
He's done pretty well, though.
He's done pretty well. No one else has established that broadcasting lane of being a man of few words in broadcasting.
AJ Hawk.
But I want you. Yes, AJ Hawk. AJ Hawk is absolutely trying to find Roy's lane. You're the pioneer here, Roy, on being a man of few words. But over the last 24 hours, what is happening in your household? Is your family thrilled for you? Is Princess Claire on clouds because her father is happier than she's ever seen him?
Oh, absolutely. She is ecstatic. I bought her a cap. I bought her a nice little Stanley Sea Panther pillow. She is very, very happy with everything that has gone down. Actually, my wife Anid told me to pray before Game 7. She told me to get some divine intervention into this game.
Has she ever done that before a game? Has she ever wasted prayer on a game before?
This is the first time.
Whoa!
That we have. There's no such thing as a prayer wasted. But if we're wasting prayers,
you don't want to save bullets.
That Game 4 would have been a wasted prayer.
Yeah. That's why I didn't do it.
Yeah, 3 in the holster. I mean,
you could have saved yourself a lot of stress if you had just prayed before 4, 5, and 6, Roy. I mean, come on.
I thought I had it in the bag on that one. But
so God's a Panthers fan?
I guess so.
Yeah,
I guess so. He shows sides.
Roy, your 15-year-long bit of play-by-play on Twitter has actually that tree is bearing incredible elite fruit now, because I do think your Sam Reinhart 2-1 tweet is actually an all-timer.
It is a great tweet, great punctuation, efficient with punctuation. You've got it wrong, Billy. God is not a Panther fan, but he hates McDavid.
He is American. We've established he's certainly not Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
God is American.
He is a Greg Cody fan though too. He's kept Greg Cody
I do
alive.
actually believe that is the RNC platform, by the way, that God is American.
Yeah, that's right.
Put it on the poll. Is God American? At Le Batard Show. Let's introduce the audience to Charles Ramsey, the guy who was going to be Mike Ryan's bodyguard, because Akron wasn't going to behave any nicer around our billboards than Edmonton's going to behave around our billboards.
Well, I was threatened with a lot of physical violence.
We had to get you a bunch of security.
Yeah,
we had to hire a bunch of security that wasn't Charles Ramsey.
No, Dan and I were legitimately concerned for your safety. Yeah, we were.
We had to hire security. We didn't. And I was prepared to go by myself. Local authorities had been alerted. Word got out that I was on my way there, and the security that we were approaching was Charles Ramsey, who said genuinely, if I'm with you, nothing is going to happen.
That's correct. And he was going to protect Mike Ryan. Here is an introduction to Charles Ramsey.
Walk me through again what happened this afternoon. You heard screaming.
Heard screaming. I meet my McDonald's. I come outside. I see this girl going nuts trying to get out of her house. So I go on the porch.
Okay.
I go on the porch, and she says, help me get out. I've been in here a long time. So, I figured it's a domestic violence dispute. So I open the door, and we can't get in that way because how the door is, it's so much that a body can't fit through, only your hand. So we kick the bottom, and she comes out with the little girl, and she says, call 911.
What was the reaction on the girls' faces? I can't imagine to see the sunlight, to be around people.
I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms. Something is wrong here. Dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway.
Yes.
Punctuation of saying it twice. He went viral. And he was a hero.
He is a hero.
Yeah. Legit hero.
Does anyone have any recommendations for me on what it is that I'm going to do to escalate this with Edmonton? Because I'm not going to take this note sitting down, even though I'm presently sitting down.
But is leaving it alone and going on vacation an option?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I would want my community leaders, my business owners to cape up for me the way that Edmonton is. When, by the way, Boston flight at noon was not on the whiteboard in the Florida Panthers locker room, but when the Celtics were coming down to Miami, I was furious that any nightlife establishment was considering serving them. I think they ended up going to someplace in Wynwood, and I'm hoping it's because all the marquee places were like, we are not going to do this. It still bothers me that the Mavericks went to live after and celebrated and got those images. So if I'm an Edmonton Oilers fan and understanding oil country, it's just different there. I'm happy that they're keeping you at bay.
How long do you want to commit to this feud? Because I have an idea, but it's a long-term plan.
It always is.
Well, I'd like something that gets results this week.
Well, this is more painful results. Do you want maximum pain or do you want quick punishment?
I can take all options. I'd like to execute something that isn't just us talking about doing things and in the true Meadowlark way, never actually doing them. You giving me a long play idea that we will get down the road on the way we did on this one and then not submit the right dimensions and then get rejected. I don't want to do it that way anymore.
Well, this is maximum vengeance, but it's a lot of work from you. Here's what I'm thinking. We have a show called Because Miami. What you could do is start a show called Because Edmonton. And long term, we can just support all of the candidates who are against the local officials who are stopping you and vote all of them out of office and get all of them fired. So just throw your money behind anyone that is running against anyone in office right now that's keeping you from putting up this billboard and get all of them kicked out.
I like the idea of use your vote for strength.
Exactly. And we could just waste money supporting anyone who's running against them. Now, there are dangers with that. But if we just want them out of office, you got to give your money to anyone.
That was efficient. I mean, Billy has thought this through. I like
yeah, but
that
it's
idea.
it's not a solution,
Well, I mean, it's a long play.
These are not politicians that have kept us from putting up these billboards.
Hold on.
And if because Miami endorses you, pack your bags. You
Hold
ain't
on,
winning.
though. Well, wait. Because, there is a government agency who's actively gotten in the way of this show. Because we had the rat czar booked on the show, and then the agency prevented that person from coming on. And I believe they also sent a statement. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I believe they also issued a statement as to why the rat czar could not come on. So government agencies are involving themselves in this entire scandal.
This is a benign billboard, okay? At one point, there was going to be an asterisk across the bottom to Billy's factual point. There was going to be, just in small print on the bottom, you do have 31 rats, according to the internet. And that's what it was going to say with an asterisk at the bottom. But all it says, all it reads is, Greg Cody was right, and you know it. I'm surprised that Mike Ryan is against freedom and is for censorship. I'm not surprised that his delicate feelings would try and protect the feelings of local residents and sports fans who have their feelings hurt because you say someone was right. There is nothing offensive. When they write in, we have declined your request for advertising. Part of our creative approval process includes aligning with community standards and respecting the sensibilities of all stakeholders, including our audiences. If the audience has one opinion, who in this case are the citizens of Edmonton as well as our partners, and this messaging does not meet those standards.
You have to donate to a charity with some sort of stipulation with it because they can't turn down money for charity.
That is a very well written letter. And I think it speaks to the reasons why they're doing this. And I understand you want to call trolling a team that just suffered a bitter defeat in what is, for many people in that country, the most important sports moment of their lives. I understand why you would call it benign, but it's not. You're actively going out of your way to troll. That is who you're looking to get a reaction from.
And Mike is saying you want your local businesses to protect you from stuff like that. Dan is saying no, don't protect me from that. If Boston beats us, let them put up billboards. If Mike Maserati wants to put up a billboard, let him do it.
Hold on a second. If I remember correctly, one billboard has been put up by them here.
That's correct.
So we're not instigating anything. We are reacting to an instigation. We are responding to a first shot across the bow.
Yeah, I think that now that you've won, I mean, go for it. I understand why they're stopping it, and I don't think we should be surprised why they're stopping it. I do think that there's some public safety aspects to this, some destruction of property aspects to this that they're protecting themselves from.
I have another idea. Let's buy the billboard company and fire everyone.
Oh, great idea.
And then just put this
Right.
billboard on all of their billboards.
Right. Billy, do you think that I don't notice that all of your ideas bankrupt metal art?
No,
Like,
I mean,
you
not
don't-
necessarily. You then own a billboard company, and you could sell the
sorry.
billboard.
Yeah.
I'm
We have-
sorry.
Hostile
New revenue
takeover. Yeah.
stream. I'm trying to grow the brand.
Billy, all our budget's already gone to trying to get this one over on Tom Brady by buying the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Oh, yeah. Remember that? The
yeah,
inflatable
that's
stage? Where do we
Yeah,
stand on
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Things change quick here, man. Lots of
sure
business
do.
Yeah,
ideas.
there are so many ideas that don't get executed, that just get talked about.
Okay,
quickly
so-
we move from one to the other.
So let's do one. Which do you want? Do you want us to buy a
I want to
party
do
planning
these
company
billboards.
to-
I want to do something that is
I
close
like
to the
because
billboards.
Edmonton.
I want to do something that else. I don't want to just lose and
Can we put him
wander
in Calgary?
away.
Can you put him in Calgary? Is that all right?
Red
Because
Deer.
Calgary would love. Vancouver would love to put those signs all up in their provinces.
Winnipeg.
What's the closest city to Calgary? What is the closest city?
Red Deer.
Why are you putting it in Calgary?
I mean, Edmonton. I'm sorry. What's the closest city?
Major city, it's
Yeah,
Calgary.
because you're saying put it in Vancouver, but Vancouver is like, many,
Well, I just-
many hundreds of miles away.
I just know that Vancouver was really like the Canucks fans seem to be, because they were eliminated by the Oilers,
Right.
seem to be passionately rooting against the Oilers, while
Yeah.
the rest of Eastern
Won't
Canada
have the
was
same
aligned.
impact. Yeah.
Calgary and Vancouver fans were pretty much going for the Panthers.
Geographically, how close are they to each other?
That's what I'm saying.
I am not good
I have
at
a new idea. I think
geography,
Seattle's
but
closest.
one of the reasons that I enjoyed what Stugotz did is I just watched how the hamster works in his head. He made it many hundreds of miles
Got
because
caught
he
up
has
there, yeah.
no earthly idea how vast Canada is and how far Vancouver is from Edmonton. I, too, am terrible at geography. I just assume it's thousands of miles.
Calgary's 3 hours away from Edmonton.
Okay,
I
so
drove down there, so I know.
300 kilometers.
You drove there?
Yeah.
Many
Here-
hundreds
here's
of kilometers.
Here's what we do. We get a mobile billboard company in Calgary to then drive to Edmonton and
Boom.
drive around town with the billboards.
Yes.
Because if Calgary takes our money, we then drive them over to Edmonton.
That's a good idea. That is a good idea.
I've had lots of good ideas.
No, the others were all
Because
terrible.
Edmonton?
But what if something happens to the driver? This is something that the company has to, like, you're going to have to take out an insurance policy.
Again, Mike, it's Greg Cody was right. It's a taunt that you have to have been totally familiar with what our show is and what it's been doing.
Right, and
There's-
it's Canada. And I don't know, you haven't had a lot of recent history to pull from, but there's on your ESPN app, go, open it up. There's a 30 for 30 on what happened to Vancouver after
I
they
know
lost
what
Game
that
7.
is. That was 2011, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
I
the
know-
first ever social
the
media
riots.
riot.
Yes,
Yeah.
the riots of Vancouver. Again, this is just Greg Cody's face smoking a cigar. It says hockey nowhere on it. You have to be familiar with either Greg Cody, what he said, or this show.
Yeah. Keep in mind, the Vancouver fans didn't have an actual physical thing to be angry at. It started with them throwing beer bottles at a monitor that was just showing the game. If you've given them a place to actually congregate, I understand why people are saying no.
Don't be governed by fear, and you can argue on their behalf all you like. You can understand on their behalf all you like. This is benign. It is sports fun, and I am being denied the right to speak freely by a billboard company. Because,
Eloquently.
Yes, they did do it eloquently. They argue on behalf of censorship the way the censorship deniers do, eloquently, in a way that's persuasive and convincing. So persuasive and convincing, they've made you against free speech.
It is dawning on me that I'm very amongst this group on the higher tier of passionate sports fans. Like, I care about this stuff a little bit more than everybody else. I'm just offering you an explanation as to why this might not be the greatest idea. Because people care in that country the way that I do.
It's not the greatest idea because it should have gone up earlier, should have gone up during the series.
You're right, but
You'll
everyone
thank
has
me
a
one
price, Dan. Everyone has a price. Get someone on from this billboard company. Let me talk to them. Seriously, everyone has a price. Double what you're offering, and I guarantee you those billboards go up.
All right, Stugotz just made some more work for himself. Called in the closer. The Stugotz reservation call now meets billboard companies.
Get me someone.
All right, can we get someone? Let's try this in the next segment. I'd like the Stugotz to talk to somebody.
I don't think we can do it live.
Physically, I want to do it. I want to exert maximum public pressure on the entrepreneurs of Edmonton who are denying our money on something that I believe to be a harmless joke, a harmless inside joke at that most people aren't going to get, that is for our amusement. You have the people of Edmonton rioting the way they did in Vancouver at Greg Cody's face.
I have them absolutely destroying this billboard.
Be more of a fight than Connor McDavid put up the last 2 games.
He won the Conn Smythe. And he needs surgery.
Oh, wow.
Everybody needs surgery.
I mean, come on, hockey player.
His feelings get hurt. He needs feeling surgery.
That is always an amazing response from sports fans. It's the hardest trophy to hold in sports. Everyone's physically broken. Stugotz has been complaining about his back pain for 3 months. Every single day he comes in here. Yesterday it was sciatica.
The sphere, Dano.
He can't even pronounce the word. And he's also the guy, toughen up surgery guy. You need some surgery on your feelings. You're not tough enough. Everyone's hurt this time of year. If any one of us were feeling the way that the bodies of Game 7 participants feel, we would miss a month of work.
Draisaitl had a broken finger, which is okay. Oh, all right, come on. Don't make that a thing. But he had broken ribs as well, which, I mean, these guys did have trouble absorbing hits by the end of it.
Do you have any other suggestions for me, Iowa, on what it is?
Iowa.
Dan just called me Jessica in my ear.
So I improved it by calling you Iowa afterward. You're supposed to, as my producer, help me, protect me there, as
Her
opposed
name's
to
Katie. Everybody knows that.
As opposed to that act of betrayal that you just
Hey,
did.
Red.
But you called me Jessica.
I know.
That's bad,
I
man.
did do that. Yes, it's a bad mistake.
Do you know her name?
No.
Do you have any other suggestions other than charity? Because that's a good idea.
Charity's a great idea. I don't know if I have any other ones. I'm not as vindictive as you guys.
Yeah. But is it vindictive?
Your college roommate would disagree.
No, she doesn't know anything.
Emily?
Yeah, don't say her name.
I thought her name was Charity.
Get out of here.
Wow. Who? You forgot his name too?
Get out of here.
Forgot my name too.
Get out of here, Tony.
We got a charity joke lined up. I mean, Jesus.
I want to get this done.
He was absolutely cocking one back.
Yeah.
I want to get this done.
I'm sorry?
Phrasing.
Can anyone help me with what it is that needs to be done around here? I don't want to simply go to Africa at the end of this week and not have billboards up in Edmonton, or know that we're going to get billboards up in Edmonton.
Well, should we check the mobile billboard idea?
Yeah, mobile billboard was probably the
Seems like the
best
best one.
idea. It
Yeah.
seems a little. I mean, it's on the company to assume this liability, I would say. And also, you have a closer over there that's willing to call.
Just change your trip to Canada and then just old-fashioned it with a poster board.
Yeah, that's a great
You're
idea.
welcome.
You go.
Yeah, you just go do it.
Yeah, we're a sandwich board, and you go see how that works out.
Yeah.
Because Edmonton is still an option.
That's true.
The thing that I wanted to put in front of you guys, because I am headed to Africa, and because every day around here I see some sort of reference that I make that people around here have no idea what it is that I'm talking about. This week, I learned that in order to have the funds, access to funds in Africa, my credit cards, none of the ones I have work. None of them. None of my debit cards, none of my American Express.
Want me to hold on to them?
Wait, you have to have cash?
You have to have a specific kind of credit card. And this is the thing that I brought up that was laughed at when I suggested it. I mentioned traveler's checks.
Oh.
And the people that I was talking to didn't know what I was talking about. Have any of you, put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Have you ever seen a traveler's check? Is it something I've been lamenting around here how un-American it is that people do not take my cash in this country. That I will wander around, they're like, we only take cards, sir. And I'm looking at them like, you've got to be kidding me. You have to be shitting me. In this country, you should take American cash. It should be taken everywhere. There should be no impediment to American cash being processed as a way of having value. And traveler's checks, I thought, might still be a thing. Can we find out if it's still a thing? It can't be doing well, the traveler's check industry.
Oh, I think they had their best year last year.
But
check it out at travelerschecks.com.
I was surprised to learn that I probably can't go to Africa after going to my bank with traveler's checks. It's probably not something that's going to work. They're going to laugh in my face and think I'm just throwing a bunch of paper at them.
You went to a bank in person?
No, I have not done that yet. I was talking to people about doing it. I don't know if the bank will give me traveler's checks. I don't know if they're traveler's checks, if that's still a thing, if it's still being done anywhere.
Can you convert to local currency? Or?
You should probably check.
If you consume this show via audio, you will not see the billboard behind me that is on YouTube, on the DraftKings Network, Roku, an assortment of places, Samsung TV Plus, Max. So I'm sorry that you can't see it on audio, but that's what the billboard will be if we ever get it up. And we are told that the people in the billboard company power structure, they are not open yet this morning. It's too early, but we will check in with them later and I assume argue and find out a little more about how it is that this can be and if Stugotz can indeed negotiate his way out of this so that we can get our billboard.
It's like they don't want to make money, right? Like they don't want to take our money. They don't just want to be open whenever we want to call them live. Like I don't understand how this company operates.
3 hours behind us.
They should, I mean, but if we were going to call, you'd be open, right? What are they up to? How many billboards are people honestly putting up in Edmonton, realistically? Like what? There's like a local plumbing company. I imagine there's some snowplow or something that goes up there. Like what are they advertising in Edmonton that their billboards are so busy that they can't take this money?
It is cheap. The billboards are not very expensive.
Cheaper than Cleveland 10 years ago?
Not cheaper than Cleveland 10 years ago. Akron was unusually cheap.
I need to know how high you are willing to go. I mean, I need that information before I make a call, you know?
Okay. Yes.
I don't want to spend money that you're not willing to spend, that you don't have.
Why would you stop now?
Why would you stop? I'm being responsible. I care about you.
We're a segment removed from you asking for my credit cards.
Well, I mean, you can't use them in Africa, so someone might as well use them. I mean.
I think he's right.
Dan, you don't want credit cards to go unused. I'm telling you.
I mean, there's some companies that are literally everywhere you want to be.
I really don't understand how it is that I have now arrived in this space of my money's no good here. Everywhere.
It's crazy.
My money, my American cash isn't good here. The way my credit cards work in Africa isn't good, and in Canada they don't want my money either. I'm like legitimately confused how it is that my money has no value.
On the turnpike near a hospital in Kendall, there is a digital billboard of the Florida Gators NIL Collective. Ooh, really? And I drive past it occasionally, and I get mad. And it's in the state of Florida. It's a state school. We have Florida prepaid down here. It should be fair game. Yeah. And I get so mad that someone accepted that business. It's, not even a mile away from FIU campus. It's in Miami, and it bothers me. I can't imagine if I lost an important game to another big school, a title game, and I saw a billboard of them making fun and magnifying that fact, I'd be irate.
Have you ever wondered in driving past that hospital why there is an exterior door on what appears to be the third or fourth floor with no balcony or anything? It's just a door that opens on the side of the building. Yeah, you drive past it on the turn. It has boggled my mind for nearly 2 decades.
No one has wondered that except for you.
Any normal person wonders, why is there a door that seems to open on the fourth floor where there's no stairwell, there's no balcony, you just fall to your death? Imagine you go down the wrong hallway, you open that door, and you just fall 4 stories.
Well, it hasn't happened in 20 years. Otherwise, somebody would have corrected it by now. Well, that death is. I know you see death around every corner.
I'm curious.
Behind every door.
Also, though, I mean, if a building has one, I guess a hospital is the one where you want to have that happen, right? Like both for
maybe that's how it stayed in business.
That's what I'm wondering.
For such a long time, people fall
in case of emergency.
They just repair them.
Keep that door unlocked, and we'll have repeat business. Just have an exit here sign, and people just start falling out of that door.
Billy, so I checked out the Billboard scene in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
The standard stuff is up. There's one for K97, there's one for an accident attorney, and there's one for a Chevrolet, local dealership.
Can we disguise this billboard somehow? Like have them think it's for a local something?
Ooh, I like that.
Just lie?
Not lie. I mean, it'll be for something, but like our messages will be hidden.
I'd love to know, and whenever we talk to these people, if it's just going to be Stugotz negotiating with them, I'd really love to know what they think, how the news got to them that this is something they shouldn't be doing. I'd like the explanation for
it's
that.
Edmonton. They all probably know.
Mike, we were fine at all the steps along this until midnight last night. All of a sudden at midnight, it was declined out of nowhere. I thought if we'd gotten the dimensions right, they'd already be up.
Yeah.
They would have been up the day that this happened, and I believe that somebody learned something. I'd like to get to the bottom of some of this, but we're going to do that later in the show whenever it is that Edmonton wakes up. What is going on? Stugotz, I doubt that you listen to Spit and Chicklets. I think it's America's most popular hockey podcast.
I would say so, yeah. Spit and Chicklets, North America's most popular hockey pod. Paul Bissonnette, Biz from TNT is on there. Witt, a former Edmonton Oilers, former Florida Panther, Ryan Whitney, founder of Pink Whitney, which is a big time spirit. They have a bunch of guys on their team. RA, it's a kind of like a Boston podcast, but Witt's an out-and-out Edmonton Oiler fan because he played over there. And they've been Florida Panther fans have kind of gotten used to no one rooting for them and everyone having a go at them, so it wasn't that toxic, but they were very publicly an Edmonton Oilers podcast. They were partying, having a great time.
For weeks. Enjoyed the holy hell out of 4, 5, and 6.
Witt is a guy that's actually like an Edmonton Oilers fan. To his credit, he's like, especially by comparison, the most composed out of all of them. They were raging in boxes. They were just having the time of their lives covering this Stanley Cup, and they kept the Oiler momentum going when they would come down here. And R.A., who does a good job on that show and is known for being a party guy, as most of the guys on that show are, he had himself a really good time at Game 7. He tried to go down on the ice. Now, Whitney's put out a post saying he warned him. Guys, you've been celebrating over the last few weeks. We've been Oilers guys. You're out here literally wearing a choker. Like, it's not a great idea to go down there. And R.A. told him, like, no, I know the Tkachuks. I'm cool with Thornty, Sean Thornton, who is a member of the Panthers organization, who was a Boston Bruin way back in the day, won a cup with them, so he thought he was good. And they put out this video of R.A. getting down on the ice. Thornty tells him in so many words, you can see the video for yourself, F off. No, get the hell out of here. No, out, gone. Now, some of it looks a little lighthearted, but there was some like serious stuff going there. R.A. just kind of rolls off and goes and finds Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk tells him to buzz off, and then he finds Keith Tkachuk. Keith Tkachuk curses at him. R.A. finds himself in the locker room, gets tossed from the locker room, and I got to tell you, this is what I tried to save Greg Cody from. And successfully, I might add, because if, say, we live in an alternate universe where the Edmonton Oilers win and Greg Cody tries to cover this, these guys know. They know. We know McDavid's dad knew. Like, it is personal. It is motivation that they use. And even though they know, they go way back and they know R.A., the Tkachuks were not having it in that moment. You were actively rooting against us. F off.
Let's go ahead and play that video for the people.
Why are you even out here? Fucking pro Oilers, the whole bandwagon jumping mother.
He's just getting rejected everywhere he
goes.
He's
wearing a choker.
And he's wearing his press pass and yeah, those people aren't fooling around. Bleep you, I'm done with you. That's Tkachuk's dad?
Yeah, that's Keith Tkachuk.
Those people are not having that.
No. That's Thornty's a very nice man. Like, yeah, he wasn't like gonna kick his ass there, but Thornty was dead serious. Like, what the hell are you doing out here? Get out of here.
I find Stugotz, and I've found this interesting for 30 years. The hockey ethos is so much different than other sports where these guys
Totally,
publicly don't say anything bad about anybody. McDavid gets criticized for not coming out when he's heartbroken to get the Conn Smythe because at the end of the series, no matter how many fights there's been, everybody lines up and shakes hands after every series because we want to be noble sportsmanship and sportsmanship from another time. No matter how many new generations arrive with different sensibilities, we want to be a sport from another time that does not abide any public disrespect. So they wouldn't say any of that stuff publicly. But in his face, they're telling him, bleep off. Because that sport has a different set of rules when it comes to all that gentlemanly stuff that's super different from the other sports, that doesn't reward like the social media arguing that all of the athletes do in other sports in the way they don't do in hockey.
They could kill each other on the ice. They could do it to each other. You can't do it to them. That's kind of how it is with them.
I'm a fan of that show. It is not traditional media. Like, they're going to go to games. They're going to have a great time. They're going to drink their Pink Whitney. They're going to get sloshed, and they're not going to be traditional media.
Good.
This overall, and this is just my Panther fan speaking, because I want to be careful because I do like those guys. It kind of felt like, wow, this is so over and above that the Panther fan finds this embarrassing. Like, you're in crop tops, rally crop tops, and you're just drunk all over the place. And Panther fans are like, you guys are idiots. What are you doing? And then the gall. At least Witt tried to talk some sense into him. Guy, what are you trying to do right there? You're the face of everything they're rallying against right now. Who do you think you are? He's like, nah, I'm good with Thordy and Kachuk. Well, he found out. He effed around and he found out.
Well, one of the things that I find interesting about that, Stugotz, is do you understand at the time of maximum joy in your entire life, imagine me at my wedding turning to someone by the cake and saying, you, I don't want you here. Like, you're at maximum joy. What you're feeling is the realization of all of your dreams. Here comes a family friend, somebody who clearly knows you, and it's not just, not now, please. No, it's right to your face. You in the middle of my joy.
So you get why they don't want the billboards up now.
Don't care. Want to do it to Edmonton. Do not care.
It'd be odd that you invited that
I'm
person
not
to
a
the wedding.
family friend. It would be odd.
I thought I got your ass.
I'm not.
Grow up.
He was right there. He almost saw it.
Just to say it to
He
him.
almost saw it.
I know they're going to be
He almost
angry.
said it himself.
I'm well aware they're going to be angry. I don't care. I'm not. What do I care that they're going to be angry that Greg Cody's face in the? How does that face make
Because
you
you're
angry?
not fooling anybody. Because you're putting up Greg's face. And if you needed anything to remind you in that Billboard clip, it said paid for by Gonzo and Stugotz, not Dan.
Oh, that's only because I couldn't do it. I wasn't allowed to put my name on it because ESPN sticks everything on my name when you guys do it anyway.
We know you're one to follow the rules.
We know that Greg had a hard time with this, and I didn't read his victory lap column because it was behind a paywall. Yeah. But you guys have no idea how different your experience would have been with this whole thing if the billboards actually went up when you wanted them to. At 3-0, and then not only do you have Edmonton Oilers fans mad at you, you have your local sports fans mad at you because the optics are you kickstarted an all-time collapse. I can't even imagine what your guys' life would have been if they went up.
It would have been so much more fun.
Oh, my God, so fun.
It was the perfect time right after Game 3. Mike
Game 3
McDavid
was the
finally had a
best
good
time.
game. Mr. Game 4. I mean,
it would have been real bad for you guys, and you guys you're anarchists and you're off in the periphery and you choose to not see it. It would have been real bad for you guys, and I'm happy they didn't go
Real
up
bad
3-0.
how? Like, this is sports. It's not real life.
McDavid
What's
has
gonna
that
happen?
game. You wake up to those billboards the next day. It's hysterical.
It's fun.
Okay.
Mike is not wrong that we would have been profoundly disliked.
But we are anyway.
So
Who cares?
what? So what?
You know how there's a saying that Twitter is not real life? The reaction that I'm getting to being totally rational about this stuff. This is not real life where it's like 4-1 against me. Like, oh, you're crazy, Mike. Okay, fine. I think I did a solid job protecting us, protecting the show, physically protecting Greg, and maybe one day you guys will see that.
I don't love to be motivated by fear. I understand both your protection and your fear. It's not that I don't understand what would have been the consequences of that, even as it was. It was unpleasant to experience because these things happen to me in public. Social media is not real, but those things happen with people confronting me in public for things you guys have done. And this was me maximum on that. The fact that Greg Cody inserted himself with that ignorance in the middle of everything that was happening in North America, I wanted to plant that flag in the middle of that series and take the consequences of it, and I would have been fine. It's easy to say now. I would have been fine with the consequences right up until an old man got beat up on the ice.
I had to deal with individual consequences of your guys' actions as I was working for Bally, going around trying to do man on the street stuff beforehand, before these games. And I have people who I'm interviewing saying, and Dan Le Batard and Greg Cody, because they're so furious, like not as a bit about what we were doing as a show. And I'm working for a separate entity dealing with those repercussions. It was terrible.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah. How about they get a life?
You were in Vegas.
Yeah, no, Billy and Stu.
You weren't even at the party.
Oh, the sphere.
It's easy. It's this sphere or the sphere, because
sphere.
I was living in the sphere. You were in the sphere.
Yeah. Because Billy did run away from the billboards in Buffalo. Yes, you ran away. From
They also didn't take our money.
I think this would have been the ultimate joke at the expense of sports fans who take things too seriously, which is a joke this show has been making for 20 years.
I will say this, to my credit, I went face-to-face with Josh Allen after saying that. And I owned it.
I will back you up.
I told him it was me. What are we going to do here, bucko? And he said, here's a cookie. Brought to you by Subway.
That's what Super Bowl week is all about.
And a churro. Oh, God. So delicious. Can I say something? And this is something. The fans don't already hate us. I like Josh Allen. Josh wasn't that stupid.
Josh Allen wasn't the one you were ever afraid of. You were afraid of some of the people who crashed through burning tables on Sundays. You weren't afraid. You were never afraid. You were never afraid of Josh Allen's play. Never mind his fists.
Oh, no. I mean, come on. He still needs to get it done. I mean, we could be friends now, but he still needs to prove something to me. You know what I mean? And you can say that about your friend.
It is easy for Stugotz and Billy to be brave here because their stuff ends up as my consequences.
I went out into the streets after Game 7, okay? And can I tell you the experience that I had? No one saying, F you, Billy. A stranger came up to me as soon as I got down, looked at me, and said, Billy. And I was like, uh-oh. We did it. And gave me a big hug. I said, you know what? We did. And I said, come here. I gave him a hug. A stranger in the streets. Then another one did the same thing. I was hugging people left and right. We did it, Dan.
Yes, you did it, Billy.
I mean, I'm not me minimum. We did it.
It is one of the strangest things. Lucy, did you celebrate, or as I like to call you, Jessica, did you celebrate anywhere with, like, how were you rooting? Because I believe that Billy was hoping that the Panthers would lose Game 7. I believe Billy wanted.
I don't know about that.
I wanted
to go to bed.
You would know better than most.
I would say it felt like that.
Well, the day started as a win-win. I'll be honest with you. Regardless of the outcome, I feel like I won that day.
I believe you wanted to be able to laugh at the show. Lucy, did you want to be able to laugh at the show, or did you want the show to be happy? I believe Jessica would have been thrilled with the show losing.
Can I no comment this one? I do want to say, though, sometimes people will come up to me angry about things you guys have said, and I always just say, I really don't know them that well. It works every single time. They're like, okay.
You're no commenting me on how it is that you felt to watch the Panthers win the Stanley Cup and how it is that related to your feelings about and around the show. I'm getting a no comment from someone that we are paying for commentary.
Yeah. Sometimes saying nothing says it all.
Bingo.
I do believe you've made quite the statement by not answering.
Yeah, I'm putting
question.
her down in the rooting against column.
No comment.
All right, let's see if I can find something.
She was right there with the spitting chiclets, boys.
I'll find something that she wants to comment on. How about EA Sports and how it is that they rank toughest places to play? Surely Lucy has some sort of objection to something happening there.
So as we get closer to the college football video game coming out, they've been giving us little tidbits, just here are some team rankings, here are what stadiums are going to look like. And yesterday they dropped the top 10 hardest places to play. Now, I've seen a lot of college football games in my life. Thanks to you, I've gotten to go to a lot of places. They listed number 1 is Kyle Field, Texas A&M, which great atmosphere. They lose at home all the time, though. They lost at home to App State. I don't know if you can say it's one of the toughest places to play.
They do lose at home quite a bit.
LSU was third.
Yeah, LSU was super low, should have been number 1. Texas was on the list. It didn't feel super accurate, but they gave us a little subject to change.
I thought LSU at night was widely regarded because of the 24 hours of drinking that happened beforehand. I thought LSU at night was widely regarded.
The one meaningful Miami season that we had here since our show has been on the air, we had game day folks in and out of our studios, and I would ask them, where did the Notre Dame game stack? But they always said the loudest place they'd ever been to in their entire life was at Death Valley, LSU. That's the loudest place. Night game there, that's insane. It's pure insanity.
Just name alone Death Valley. It should be the most difficult place to play in college football, right?
But there's 2 Death Valleys.
There are 2 of them.
Yeah. Both Tigers, too.
But you think LSU before Clemson. At least I do.
Do you? I mean, Clemson.
Yes.
Clemson's got a pretty intense atmosphere. It's just smaller.
You know what they say, Dan, about, a sport that has 2 Death Valleys? You don't have one.
It's true.
Nobody says that.
Well, I said it.
Okay, but that's not what they say. It's what you say.
That's a fair point.
You're the only one saying it.
Did they rank Doak ahead of the Swamp?
They did.
They did, yes. Doak is number 9. The Swamp is 10.
No bounce house?
No bounce house.
Weird.
Jeremy. 1 is Kyle Field. 2 is Bryant Denny, LSU, Ohio State, Georgia, Penn State, Wisconsin, and then Oklahoma.
What?
I know.
LSU should be number 1.
LSU should be number 1 by a mile.
And the Swamp should be ahead of Doak.
I didn't think that when you mentioned Texas A&M, I did not think that we wouldn't be talking about the reason we should be talking today about Texas.
Where's
A&M.
Hard Rock Stadium?
Others receiving
11
votes,
maybe?
Billy.
I don't.
Right there by Ricardo Silva.
The cage.
I think Stugotz is going to like this Texas A&M story. Do you know anything about it, Stugotz?
No.
I love this story.
Well, during Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final, there was another championship being played out, the College World Series.
That Tennessee-Florida State game, I can't believe Tennessee beat Florida State the way they beat Florida State and is now national champion in college baseball.
And since Miami played at Kyle Field, I've been stuck in a College Station group chat of everybody that experienced that, and now I just keep tabs on Texas A&M. They're like, from last year in college football, I was pretty locked into this team. And so I follow all that's going on in athletics.
This cult.
It is culty. It is. I told Jess, because Notre Dame's playing Texas A&M this year at Kyle Field.
Did you just point at Lucy and call her Jess?
No, I pointed at Lucy because she brought up the Kyle Field, most difficult place to play. And I don't know if Lucy, have you had the privilege of going to Kyle Field?
I have not. We're really hoping to go this year when they open up against Notre Dame. So even though we're saying mean things about the baseball coach, that's because we're so pro Texas A&M. So just remember that when we're submitting credential applications.
I loved my time in College Station. I thought the fans there were pretty nice until the game started, and then it's middle fingers everywhere. But it's a great experience. And there is a huge difference between 80,000 people in a stadium and over 100,000 people in a stadium. It's freaking wild.
Like 10,000?
Yeah. So in my group chat, I was following this run to the College World Series, and they had a baseball coach who lost in the College World Series and gave a press conference because there was rumors. One of the best jobs in college baseball is head coach of the Texas Longhorns, and that job was available, and his name was circulated in some rumors. So here's this coach being asked, and I forget, what's his name, Jim?
Yeah.
Second most hated Jim. I guess in Texas A&M coaching ranks. He may be number 1. And I know Dan's got to perk up a little bit. This tone is so bad. He gets asked about this, about the Texas rumors, and this is his response.
Coach, with respect to the difficult outcome tonight, but with the rumors circulating today about a specific job opening, what do you have to say about your future in Aggieland?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty selfish of you to ask me that question, to be honest with you. But my I left my family to be the coach at Texas A&M. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job again, and that hasn't changed in my mind. That's unfair to talk about something like that. That'd be like you asking Montgomery if he's going to sign in the draft. But I understand you got to ask the question, but I gave up a big part of my life to come take this job, and I've poured every ounce of my soul in this job, and I've given this job every single ounce I can possibly give it. So write that.
Coach, thank you very much.
Write that. Selfish to ask him that question. But Stugotz doesn't know.
Can I tell him? He accepted the Texas job the next day.
I'm so proud of
He
him.
had already accepted it.
His third job since 2021. Weasel.
Hook him.
This man is a giant Stugotz.
Coach, with respect to the difficult outcome tonight, but with the rumors circulating today about a specific job opening, what do you have to say about your future in Aggieland?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty selfish of you to ask me that question, to be honest with you.
Changes everything.
I left my family to be the coach at Texas A&M. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job again, and that hasn't changed in my mind. That's unfair to talk about something like that. That'd be like you asking Montgomery if he's going to sign in the draft. But I understand you got to ask the question, but I gave up a big part of my life to come take this job, and I've poured every ounce of my soul in this job, and I've given this job every single ounce I can possibly give it. So write that.
Coach, thank you very much.
Did he actually leave his family, Mike?
Yeah, his family's in Austin.
Were they not allowed to come?
Stugotz just said to me as we got David Samson lined up here, man, Samson sounds terrible.
He's hacking at me.
He said, you sound sick. You were sick during the most recent episode of the Sporting Class. I urge everyone here to listen to that. David Samson, John Skipper, and Pablo Torre do a very good job with that. It is by consensus the most universally applauded thing that we have around here that doesn't get a whole lot of criticism. And he also does nothing personal every day. He starts at 8 a.m. every day doing it. But are you sick?
I am, but I was supposed to be in St. Louis last night doing a live show, and I could not make it on the plane. So it was postponed to July 22nd. I've never not posted like that, which, Dan, should give you an idea of how bad it is.
Yeah, you don't miss stuff. Duty and responsibility are things that you take very seriously. So what is happening with you? Because you're working very hard. Doing the daily show every day is quite a lift. What's going on with you?
I'm not sure. I think it doesn't matter. Let's talk. There's so many great things to talk about right now that I don't want to talk about it. There are many people in way worse shape than I am. I'm doing just fine, Dan. Thank you very much, though.
Okay. Well, he says you sound terrible, and so I just wanted to at least pretend to show something in the way of concern. We'll move on to topics of the day. Yeah, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it, so I'm taking it back. And now I'm claiming that
you're no longer concerned.
No,
right.
I was pretending to be concerned, and now I'm just claiming to pretend to be concerned. The Panthers win the Stanley Cup, and I was talking before you came on here about what a unique opportunity this is to build something the way that Tampa has built something so that Florida ends up feeling a little more like Canada. Can you explain to us what you think the opportunity is in front of the Panthers right now, because they've got a team that's built to last?
Well, there's two types of opportunities. The first is on ice, and I think that DraftKings has them as the favorite to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. We know how difficult that is to repeat as anything. The real issue for me is how are they going to, off the ice, change the fortunes of the team? And this group with Matt Caldwell and Vinny Viola, they've done a great job. It's not like the Yormark days. They're not giving tickets away. The corporate sponsorship deals are much more on market and mark to market than they used to be. But right now, you've got to convert your season ticket holders into bigger packages, meaning full 41-game packages. You need to increase your prices, and you need to get your menu of corporate opportunities increased. And then the hope is that people will continue to buy your product, and then you've got to win on the ice again. and not necessarily a Stanley Cup, but you've got to back this up with deep NHL playoff runs over the next 2 out of the next 3 years, 3 out of the next 5 years. Then you're talking about a dynasty. The problem is South Florida has never proven to be able to actually support any sort of team long-term year after year other than the Dolphins. And I'm not even sure I could say the Dolphins, given they've been so bad for so long.
You could say the Heat. You could the last 20 years, they've got more sellouts than anybody. What are you shaking your head no about?
No, I actually would remember a time in between Shaq and LeBron. Did they not? And I'm not making this up. I believe they closed the upper deck.
400 level. AAA. 400 level had a curtain covering it. Yeah.
Over the last 15 years, they've done nothing but sell out every game. Over the last 15 years.
Yeah, since LeBron was here, that curtain has gone away. I haven't seen the 400 level curtain.
Even in the in-between years where it was no LeBron and no Jimmy Butler.
But David's saying when they're bad, no one shows up, essentially.
I'm saying that what makes a sports city one of the best is that by hook or by crook, you are going to have lengthy 30-year windows where your revenue continues to increase, where the value of your team continues to go up, and fans are so engaged with your team that it doesn't matter if you have a moment. And the Panthers have not proven that, nor have the Marlins, nor have the Heat, nor have the Dolphins, really. I could say that. And I'm not in any way impugning Miami as a sports city. Man, we're so successful. We have so many championships in our group of 4 professional teams, forgetting Inter Miami trying to become one of the top 4 and maybe already is, although Inter Fort Lauderdale, whatever you call them. So Miami's fantastic, but I'm talking about in terms of actually the support. The problem with Florida is the corporate support on this side of the state is just not what it is elsewhere.
David, how real, I guess, in your opinion or with your expertise, is a sellout streak like that? Because I've never found it hard to get Heat tickets if I wanted to get them.
It's something, it's really good PR. If you can say you have a sellout streak and then you just choose a day where you're going to stop it. They did that at Fenway Park. And you can look at, even when they're sellouts, there are pockets of seats at upper levels that are not used. But you can buy those tickets during the course of the game yourself, which is what I used to do, but not to make it a sellout. I just would do it to increase the announced attendance. But it's supposed to make you feel good about being in a cool place. And what Florida has done a great job, the Panthers, it's cool to be in Sunrise. You guys tried to make it uncool by showing nobody around, but that's your shtick. Like Greg's parade in front of nobody, that's your shtick. But as a team executive, you want it to be cool to be a part of the Panthers world, and that's what you're going to see next year, hopefully.
David, there are actually rumors already that they want to move to Fort Lauderdale. Should they?
They're not going anywhere for at least 20 years.
No, they've got a long-term lease in.
Where are these rumors coming from, Steve?
I saw it on the local news the other day that they were looking at arenas. They're looking at places and plots of land in Fort Lauderdale because they don't like being out in Sunrise. And I got to be honest with you, that's an insult to the great people of Sunrise who have supported that hockey team and the surrounding area. Davie, Plantation, up in Parkland, Coral Springs, Tamarack.
They're not going anywhere.
What is he doing? Billy, what is he doing?
You'll see what's happening.
You created a lie, and now you're offended on behalf of people for this lie that you created that doesn't actually exist.
They're looking at Fort Lauderdale, just off of Las Olas. Look it up.
Did you look to see where the parade route was? And you're like, oh, they're going to do the parade in Fort Lauderdale.
All right, look it up is the move that he gives you when he doesn't want to look something up.
I don't have to look it up. I saw it.
The team is not moving to Fort Lauderdale.
We'll see.
That is a conversation for like 20 years from now.
Save it, though. We'll pick it up then. Samson, Vlad Guerrero and not being traded to the Yankees. What is happening with that story? Vlad Guerrero, son of Vlad Sr., he is in Toronto, and he is a bit of an icon there. That family name means something in baseball there. What is happening with him in the Yankees?
We get to talk baseball. It's time right now. You guys should do like a baseball segment and podcast. It is Vlad Guerrero plays for the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are a very disappointing team, and he went on the record saying, I will never play for the Yankees, and he said it's a family issue. The Yankees are dead to me. And then yesterday he said, well, if they want to trade for me, I spoke to my dad, and I guess his dad, our former player, Vladimir Guerrero, former Expo, yeah, I guess I would play for the Yankees. It's absolutely ridiculous. He's got 1 year left next year before he's a free agent. The Blue Jays ought to be selling, but I don't think they will, because their owner is a conglomerate called Rogers, and they don't need to cut payroll. They don't need to retool during the course of the season that way. But the Yankees do need a first baseman because Rizzo's hurt and stinks, and they've got Rice, who's new but not good enough. So Guerrero would help the Yankees, and it's very nice that he would say, I'd like to play, or I would accept playing for them. But of course, players don't have a choice short of a no trade clause, which arbitration players do not have. If they trade him to the Yankees, he's a Yankee.
Can you explain to me what the business reasoning is between the Marlins offering to pay for the fans' streaming bill for a couple of months?
Did you see this, Billy? Are you doing this? Are you going to get the Bally's app for night that you get to sign up because you live in Florida? The Marlins will pay for you to stream their games in the market.
So I, before the season, coming off of a playoff appearance and high, paid for the season pass. So I already have it.
Interesting. Are you despondent now that you're not getting the $38 or $40 from the Marlins? Does it bother you that other people are getting it free and you're not?
Well, it wasn't until now. Should it? What should I do? Do I sue someone?
No, what you should do is cancel your streaming app right now.
Well, I paid in
advance. Then re-sign up through the Marlins, and you can get the rest of the season free.
But I paid in advance for the entire season because it was discounted. It was like 15% off. I don't think I could get a refund.
You can get a refund, or you can get it credited to next season.
He loves a refund.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me write this down.
So the backstory here, Dan, is that the Marlins...
I believe, hold on a minute. I believe we have found the one place anywhere in conversation where you will get nothing in the way of dispute from anybody. Everyone, by consensus, loves a refund. There are no people
at a price,
out there.
though. Like, it depends the hoops they make you jump through for the refund.
Well, what are they doing? What are the Marlins doing here?
So the background is this. There's a dispute. If you have Comcast in South Florida, you know you haven't seen the Marlins games because Bally's, which is your bankrupt network showing Marlins games, is not on Comcast anymore. And that's because Comcast wants you to pay extra to put Bally's on a higher tier, not like a basic cable tier. And Bally's is saying, no chance, we want to be on the regular tier. So Comcast said, fine, we're not going to show your network at all. So the Marlins are saying, wait a minute, no one's watching our crappy team. No one ever watched even when we were good. It's just not great ratings, not great number of households watching games. It is what it is. And so the Marlins said, we've got a PR idea. We'll pay for people to watch games in market 2 months worth. And if you don't cancel, like the old Columbia House records where you have to cancel or they keep sending you one of those balloons.
What a great old reference. You are simply incapable of references that are modern day references. The clearinghouse balloons are not from this century.
The Columbia discs where they would keep sending them to you if you didn't cancel. That's what Bally's is. And if you sign up to get the 2 free months and you forget to cancel, they'll just keep charging you. And then you've got the ability to stream. And the thought is that people will take advantage of this opportunity to get the 2 free months. Bally's doesn't care because it's the Marlins paying for it. The Marlins owners get to announce, hey, look at how nice we are being to our fan base, that we are giving this to you, the fan, for free. Asterisk, you're going to pay for it later. And it's all in the name of trying to get a bad product being watched by more people. I'd, of course, go the opposite way. I want fewer people watching crap.
David, you're familiar with the Mandela effect, right? The greatest example of the Mandela effect. Mandela effect is basically a large group of people assume, like, there's an example of this. Everyone swears there's a movie in which Sinbad plays a genie. Never happened. The greatest example of this is Ed McMahon in Publishers Clearinghouse. You will have people swear up and down that they got mail with Ed McMahon's face on it for Publishers Clearinghouse, and it never happened. Mandela effect. Ed McMahon was never associated with Publishers Clearinghouse, and I believe that to be a lie because he absolutely was. I got those letters in the mail.
So then what's the Mandela effect? Because I got those too.
Yeah.
I thought Ed McMahon was associated with that. Put it on the poll, Juju.
Look it up.
Wait, but what's
Show.
the Mandela effect that you're accusing?
Put it on the poll, Juju, at LeBatard Show. Is there a movie Sinbad played a genie in?
That first package of free records, though, David, what a day. I mean, seriously.
It's the greatest. And then all of a sudden you forgot to cancel, and it's before your parents' credit card or whatever credit card you were using, and you get the charge, and then you have to be on hold for like 20 minutes trying to cancel. And I learned how to be the president of a team from Columbia Publishing, where we made it so hard for people to get refunds. We wanted to keep their money and use it for future tickets. All of that goes back to Columbia.
I had a situation where I had ESPN Plus where I was subscribed, and then I got a cable. I do like Hulu with live sports, so it comes like in my package, right? And then I couldn't cancel my other subscription because it makes you go on and sign in, not with like the original email, the original device you used. So I'm going through all of my devices trying to figure out which device did I sign up with this on. I couldn't figure it out. And eventually I think I just canceled my card or something because I'm like, I cannot keep doing this forever, keep paying double subscriptions because I don't remember how I subscribed for this.
Mike, how is your search going right now for the questions that you're being asked from every corner of the shipping container?
I've got the Mandela effect here. There's several different examples, but Ed McMahon and the Publishers Clearinghouse is one of them because apparently all of these people remember Ed McMahon showing up on doorsteps, handing oversized checks to people, and it never happened. It's just an example of something that everyone collectively remembers, but didn't actually happen. Sort of like how everyone thinks the Monopoly Man had a monocle, but he's never had a monocle.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Did the Monopoly Man ever have a monocle, yes or no? Because I also thought that he had a monocle, and I would have sworn Ed McMahon gave out those checks.
My recollection is that he's on the mail that comes to you, not that he actually went to the house. He may have been in a commercial at some point giving people the oversized check. How many of you thought you won Publishing Clearinghouse? I'm okay to admit it. I got the letters and I was young enough where I actually thought that I was a winner, and it turns out that I wasn't.
Can you explain? You just told us, you mentioned ESPN Plus, and ESPN is trying to keep up during the streaming days.
That happened to me once with a Taco Bell Batman Forever promotion in which I got Bruce Wayne twice, and I swore I won a Batmobile, but instead I just won a Mountain Dew.
Oh.
Every single time I got Park Place, I thought, man, I'm just one boardwalk away from winning McDonald's Monopoly, just to find out everyone got Park Place, and then finding out in a documentary, oh, it was rigged.
I'm fairly certain I won that Batmobile, and I got screwed over by an employee that's driving around Westchester with a Batmobile.
That documentary was good. I like that documentary. I like anything. There's a Price is Right documentary, too, on how it is.
That guy was robbed. That guy was robbed. Did you see? I don't remember what it was for, but it was another contest documentary where someone was entitled to a fighter jet because he jumped through all the hoops that he needed for the fighter jet.
Yes.
And then they said, nope,
Pepsi.
never
That was
mind.
Pepsi, wasn't it? Wasn't that a
I think it
Pepsi
was
promotion?
Pepsi.
Yeah.
I reviewed that on Nothing Personal, and it turns out that it wasn't an actual fighter jet, but he spent his life trying to get the actual fighter jet.
Well, he got enough. He got enough Pepsi or whatever it is that he needed to get in order to qualify for something that the people who created the fighter jet promotion never considered as a real thing. You can't give away a fighter jet.
They never imagined someone would do it.
You can't. You got to have somewhere in the small print the fighter jet thing is a joke.
We have the Pepsi fighter jet commercial.
All right, let's play for the people the Pepsi fighter jet commercial. You tell us whether you believe that somebody should have, under these circumstances, if they collected enough redeemable things, should have indeed gotten a fighter jet courtesy of Pepsi. That seems to have some liability issues attached to it.
I got a question for David in the meantime. David, I don't know if you're following along this Billboard saga that we have. Our show is once again embroiled in a Billboard saga.
I am.
Dan wants to put up some billboards. Has he reached out to you for your advice in this stuff? I am very much, let's stop trying to rile up the city of Edmonton. They care deeply, and I understand why they're saying no. Dan, I guess, is doing what he should be doing, and he's exploring every route. Where do you side on this whole thing?
Mike, I'm not worried about anybody there. I heard earlier in the show this morning you describing your concern for the safety of people, and you don't want to in any way poke the bear. And I understand why you're doing that. But on the other hand, it is inexcusable to me that the Billboard company will not take Dan's money. I wouldn't take Meadowlark's credit card necessarily, but I would certainly take cash from Dan for sure. And that billboard is not in violation of anything. Community standards and practices, it's like a joke. Community standards and practices are not about Greg Cody holding a cigar and saying, you know it. I mean, it's absolutely absurd.
It's about
upholding
the standards of a community. It's about upholding the standards of a community, and that community cares deeply about
standards.
They don't want to get trolled.
Go look at the sex offense website. I'm sure there's plenty in Edmonton, like everywhere else. Give me a break.
Community standards is the ultimate subjective line. Like they get to decide what is the community standard.
As president of a company, I'm deciding on revenue, and I cannot imagine in a industry that is in the toilet, the billboard industry. The fact that, Dan, you talk about old references, the fact that you want to do billboards makes me laugh, but you should certainly be allowed to do it.
David, as president of the Marlins, what was the closest to the line that you accepted money for that you're like, I don't know about this?
Well, we put opposing teams' sponsored logos in the urinals. And if you're an old Marlins fan, a pro player, you may remember that. It was urinal pads with National League East teams, and we got in trouble with Major League Baseball because they thought it was unacceptable that our fans, however many there were going pee-pee on logos of teams, and other team presidents and owners complained to Commissioner Seelig, and he and Jeffrey called me and said, you have to have them removed from every urinal. It's a true story.
Well, who was the sponsor? The Urinal Cake Company or something?
It's a great idea.
Yeah, we got paid for it.
Yeah.
It was a marketing deal. And I thought it was brilliant. Like, you were a Marlins fan. We're going to go to the bathroom all over these NL East teams. But apparently it did not land as well as I expected it to.
But if the Mets or the Phillies or the Braves, they wanted to do traditional advertising with the Marlins, would you have taken their money?
We would go to New York companies all the time and say, why don't we let's do a behind the plate deal just for when we're playing the Mets. So we would sell things in counterparts like that. Absolutely. You have to have a sales department willing to get money from the enemy, quote unquote, because money's money. What's the difference?
Where would your line? So Stugotz told a story about how when he ran $7.90 the ticket, he didn't take money from AshleyMadison.com. Is that something where you could have like the AshleyMadison.com Bermuda Triangle at Pro Player Stadium?
I didn't realize that you were in the chair today. That's the movie I'm reviewing today. Is that why you're asking?
It's not.
That's funny. I apologize. I looked at that email that we get with the staffing, and I thought Chris was in the chair. Anyway, Dan, do we have time to get to the movie review so I can answer Billy's question at the same time?
Well, you've wasted the last 40 seconds asking questions of Billy that could have been just reviewing the movie.
I mean, that's Ashley Madison, Sex, Lies, and Scandal is a documentary. Ashley Madison is a website where if you're married, you go and you find people to have sex with who are also married. And it turns out it's for affairs, and everybody's having affairs anyway. You might as well have a clearinghouse where you can find people to do it, and there's no issue until all of their information got hacked. And until it turns out that many of the women on the Ashley Madison website were bots and not actual women who were interacting with these married men. And the release of personal information led to suicides. Not funny. It led to marriage breakups, whatever. And the entire documentary, 3 episodes, fascinating if you don't know anything about it. And in terms of sponsorships, the answer is yes. When we were negotiating with the county, we were not allowed to do Ashley Madison, strip clubs, cigarettes, tobacco. And I fought for all of them because why be so limiting? If you go back and look at old tape, there's big Marlboro doing advertisements everywhere. What do you think? I don't know what cigarettes are if I don't see an ad for it, or I don't know what cheating is if I don't know that I can go to a place where in theory I can find other cheaters. It's absurd. So the answer is, of course, I would take money from Ashley Madison.
I actually watched this documentary, David. This is the first time we've ever had to watch the same thing. The Ashley Madison doc, the part that made me laugh, and maybe it's because I'm kind of cynical now, was that the main couple they featured was like a YouTube family couple. Like they had made their entire living off documenting how they were such a happy married couple and putting it on YouTube. And then they were at like a VidCon type of deal, and it was dropped that day that he was on the Ashley Madison site. They went really viral because his wife peed and didn't flush the toilet, and then he stuck a pregnancy test in there, so he told her she was pregnant, and they became this internet sensation the whole time he was on Ashley Madison.
And they were also people of God. They were good Christian people. If I had a nickel for all the good Christian players who did stuff outside of being Christian, I'd have a lot of nickels. So that was also part of the documentary, that this was a God-fearing man who, of course, was not just on Ashley Madison. At the end of the documentary, it turns out he was lying about way more than being on Ashley Madison.
Just to be clear, for those of you doing the math at home, he would have $4.25 if he had a nickel for every time somebody did something unchristian.
What did Kristen Yelich do?
And also put on the poll, is everyone having affairs already at Le Batard Show? Good talk.
I hope not, man.
Good talking to you, Samson. Thank you for being on with us. We appreciate it.
See you later.
We have declined your request for advertising. Part of our creative approval process includes aligning with community standards and respecting the sensibilities of all stakeholders, including our audience, who in this case are the citizens of Edmonton, as well as our partners. And this messaging does not meet those standards. I can't believe Mike Ryan.
Great job. I wish this town cared that much.
Mike Ryan.
This town needs to care that much. We need to meet them there.
I can't believe.
Stop taking Florida collective dollars.
Samson was taking money from the NL East.
You side with with Big Billboard. It's offensive to me.
WFAT.
Yes, the return of FAT. We're joined by our senior Knicks correspondent, the commissioner of fandom. He's got a new special. It's called You've Changed. It debuts July 9th on Prime Video. And he's with us because the Knicks have gotten Mikal Bridges and a 2026 second-rounder for Bojan Bogdanovic, an unprotected first in 2025, unprotected first in 2027, unprotected first in 29.
Hold on. Sam dropped. His Zoom frozen. He dropped.
It was a really good intro, though.
Yeah,
you even said Bojan, right?
Is it Bojan?
Yeah.
It is Bojan.
It's not Bogdan.
No, it's not Bogdan.
Yeah, but it's a soft J.
Yeah.
Bojan Bogdanovic.
So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
We should have just kept going. We should have just kept going.
We could keep
whether
going.
Sam,
I think we're doing that.
Sam may not be.
I would have been like, these are difficult names. Let's keep the intro, maybe pause, and then go.
An unprotected first-round pick in 2031, an unprotected pick swap in 2028, a top 4 protected 2025 first-round pick via the Bucks, and a second-round pick in 2025 for a zero-time All-Star.
Who cares about 28, 29, 2030? The Knicks are going for it right now.
Yeah.
Some rice just flew out of my mouth.
It doesn't matter. This is all going to cut anyway.
Yeah.
This is a dress rehearsal, you know?
It's a
practice run.
It's interesting. They've seen people make this observation. It is like they've built a super team of role players.
Huh?
Lucy has been eating an apple the entire time, so this is not something that would ever air, obviously.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I'm not chewing into the microphone.
Sam, that's a lot of picks. That's a lot of picks to give up for a zero-time All-Star.
I mean, the Knicks' last 4 picks have been R.J. Barrett, Obi Toppin, Frank Ntilikina, whatever the hell his name is. I don't care what his name is, and Kevin Knox. Who cares about the picks? I mean, seriously.
All right, Sam, your thoughts as the commissioner of fandom and the senior Knicks correspondent here on WFAT.
I mean, how could you not be excited to get Mikal Bridges? I mean, it's the final Infinity Stone. It's a big deal. I heard what you said about him never being an All-Star. You know who else never was an All-Star until this season? Jalen Brunson.
Yep.
These guys bring out the best in each other. You can't measure good vibes, but we felt it last year. It's only going to get better. Got to bring back OG. Really hope we find a way to still bring back Hardenstein, too. I think he's essential. But if we do, damn, we're deep. We're scary. To get Bridges out of Brooklyn is so nice. He looked more depressed every time we played each other than a guy in like an ISIS hostage tape. You know, the difference is I think people actually watch ISIS hostage tapes. No one watches the Brooklyn Nets. So glad he's here in New York City. Glad he's on the right side in the right borough. Let's go Knicks.
Okay, you say keep all those people, but this is a quote from Woj. The Knicks are still determined to keep OG in free agency, sources tell ESPN, but the ability to re-sign center Isaiah Hartenstein becomes more difficult now. The Knicks are loading up on wings to match up with the NBA champion Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, I think I hear that, and but you know, Woj also said that Dan Hurley was going to be the next coach of the LA Lakers. So Woj doesn't know everything. Let's slow down, Woj. Hardenstein, there's good vibes going there. I think like if it's the difference between $2 million a year I think he could stay here. You know, we're really good with Hartenstein. I hope it works out.
Stephen A. just reported just moments ago here that KD and the Suns are looking to
He says that the
trade
Suns
KD.
are looking. Usually it would go the other way around, and maybe because Stephen A's got really good relationships in the Kevin Durant camp. But he went to First Take and he said the Suns want to trade Kevin Durant right now, and we're on the precipice of some big moves.
There's
right
a
now.
lot of stuff going on.
A lot of moves
Dan.
before the moves. Jeremy has been hard at work. We got something for you later, Dan.
Mike, you want him?
Stephen A. Smith also said that no Villanova players in that draft would have a good NBA career. And now the Knicks have 4 solid NBA players from Villanova. I don't care what Stephen A. says. And maybe he does have good relationships throughout the league, but New York is not a fan of Stephen A.
You just sabotaged our gas bag of the week sound here that we had all queued up to play you. So let's go ahead and do that now for Sam.
Gas bag of the week.
And now let's play that Stephen A. video that Sam is referencing, please, about him saying that none of the Villanova guys are going to be pros, and now all of them are on the Knicks.
Villanova doesn't have a real NBA prospect on their squad.
Skip Bayless in there.
Who was agreeing with that?
But pay him $90 million. He's worth it. I mean, it's amazing you can get this kind of money and be wrong all the time. He's really the Sean Hannity of sports.
Wait a minute. They had agreement on the show about something, and the agreement was about that?
They didn't agree on anything for like a decade. The one thing they agree on, no NBA players on this Villanova team.
Sam, I know you're excited. I know why you're excited. The Knicks are in the game. I think Stephen A. just proclaimed you the best team in the NBA based on this trade for a zero-time All-Star. Yeah. I know that people are getting carried away with the Knicks stuff. I know that injuries derailed a season that when OG was there, Stugotz, they were playing during the regular season like a team. This is empirical. It's not up for debate. That had one of the best records in the league when he was there. So the Bridges acquisition, he's a very good player, even though he's a zero-time All-Star. He is a very good player. That does what for your enthusiasm? You're putting them with the team that you just saw overwhelm everybody in the sport last year.
I don't know. I don't enjoy your tone right now. You keep saying zero-time All-Star. There's lots of players who weren't All-Stars who won. Sam Cassell, I believe, won 2 championships before he was an All-Star. You know, if this Villanova team finds a way, this Knicks Villanova squad, if they find a way to win a ring somehow in the next few years, damn, it's going to be a beautiful 30 for 30. The power of friendship, he takes us to a special place because of his defense, and he's a great knockdown shooter. And I think we match up well with Boston if we can bring back OG. I do think we need size. So, you know, I do worry about Mitchell Robinson's health, but we get Hartenstein back, or I hope. We got size. We're tough. That's what I hope happens, but we'll see. It will be hard. As Woj said, who knows all, apparently, Dan, I'm sorry.
Bridges is 27 years old, Dan. 2 years ago, it was 26 a game. He stays healthy for the most part. Last year, it was 20 points a game. He's a great defender, one of the best one-on-one defenders in the NBA, so it does bring the Knicks closer. If they re-sign OG, they have 2 guys who could potentially guard Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
It's an all-in move, but again, what equates to essentially 6 first-round draft picks and making an all-in aggressive move for a dude that isn't – a world-renowned superstar, all-star type of guy. I don't know. It's ballsy.
You can praise the move as aggressive. You can't dispute that this management team has fixed what ailed the Knicks, but OKC managed to get Caruso without giving up a pick, and they've got a ton of picks too. The Knicks have still 5 first-round picks. They still have 5 of them. They had a ton. What are you smiling about, Sam?
Yeah, OKC has a ton of picks. You know what they remind me of is that guy who saves his money their entire life and then just dies with like $40 million. And you're like, okay, I hope that was fun, never spending it. Like, what are you going to do with 27 first-round picks? OKC's got a hell of a team, but at some point you got to go all in. I give them credit. It's an impressive trade for Caruso. I would have loved Caruso in New York. He's another tough player, but at some point you got to go all in, and I don't know if they ever do. I think they're like pick hoarders.
I will give Sam credit, and I hate to do that here about the Knicks, but it is a really smart move if you feel like this is the one chance that you have to build on something special and move forward and take a core and maximize what you can get out of them. You add a guy who you not only know is a really good player, maybe overpaying for him, but also a guy who you know gets along with this locker room. These guys all wanted to play together. And look, is it maybe a super team of role players? Potentially. But if all these guys can play their role the right way, we've seen the way that the Knicks can maximize that.
Jeremy gives you credit. How do you feel, Sam?
I feel good.
Good. He only called me asshole one time.
It was one time. I feel bad about that. I think I was in the right to call you asshole. I think
you were. Yeah, you were.
But
sure.
I appreciate what you say, Jeremy. And I think a super team of role players isn't fair. I think Brunson has played himself into a top 10 player. You know, Randall is still an all-star. Like, people like to on him. And, you know, as you just said, Bridges, 26 a game. I mean,
they're going to move him, Sam. They're going to move him.
You got to get rid of Randall.
They're going to move him.
He was only that good because he wasn't there.
But I'm judging as it stands right now.
Correct.
And Mikal Bridges, he's a heck of a player. One of his best qualities is that he's always available. So you also look at his contract, which is they're going to have to pay him at some point. But right now, Brunson and Bridges together are making less than like Kawhi, less than Jimmy Butler, less than a lot of, you know, Bradley Beal, obviously. But we all know that's a poison pill. But, you know, this is a really good contract. Brunson's a really good contract. We're going to have to probably really pay OG, but that's okay. Randall right now is a good contract. We're a team full of good contracts, and that means something too.
Bridges hasn't missed a game since high school. OG is going to cost about $250 million, which hurts. That hurts. He's going to cost between $200 and $250 million. And, Sam, what I would tell you is the Knicks are all in, but the Knicks are making the first move, and this time is fascinating, Stugotz. This week with the NBA draft and with every other team in the league in an ecosystem that's super competitive, doing what the Knicks are doing, which is how do we beat the Celtics? Because now the Warriors are said to have Andrew Wiggins and Chris Paul on the market. Clay might be available. The Warriors might get involved with Paul George. All of the teams that think that they're a piece away are looking at themselves the way the Knicks are looking at themselves.
I mean, Chris Paul's a great player, but you talk about having a harmonious locker room. He doesn't seem like the dude. I don't know. Like, if we're bringing in an old-ass point guard with a fat ass, I'm thinking Kyle Lowry and not Chris Paul. Villanova, bring it together. Charge machine. He's a flopper, but I still like him. And then also, who's the other one? Wiggins. Why Wiggins for us? I don't think that makes sense. I mean, I think his stock is incredibly low. He looked incredible.
No, my point is just that
he didn't say you were getting all of them, Sam.
My point is just that the Warriors are doing what the Knicks are doing. There are 10 teams in the league that think that they're a bridges away, that they have to counter what the Celtics just did.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Celtics, this is what happens when you're the champions. They have a hell of a team. And when you have that's what happens. I mean, I feel like last year people were building towards taking down the Nuggets, right? Now it's people building towards taking down the Celtics. The Celtics are a really tough team. Like, I mean, they didn't really even have Porzingis healthy, and they still look great with old man Horford, who's a beast. Hey. You know, I got to give him credit. And I see why that line was so long to meet him at Raising Cane's. He's a Boston OG. He's a badass. I got to give Al Horford credit. I can't hate Drew Holiday. He's too likable. Like they're a tough. I like the culture of what they did, but I love what the Knicks are doing. And I'm hearing a lot of NBA pundits saying right now, as stands, the Knicks are the biggest threat to the Celtics in the East, and I think that's a fair assessment. The Bucks are getting older. The Sixers are never healthy. You know, the Heat are still tough. I'll give you that. But I think we are, as stands, if we bring back OG, we're very dangerous.
You mentioned NBA pundits. Let's go ahead and play Stephen A. I don't know what Sam's going to do with this because he loves the Knicks, but he does not like Stephen A. And look at what Stephen A. now says because he's very enthusiastic about this move.
I don't give a damn what it is. Right now, I'm looking at the New York Knicks, and the only team I definitively see above them is the reigning, defending NBA champion Boston Celtics. Anybody else? You got some work to do because the New York Knicks, baby, the culture, the fire, you understand the tenacity, the defense, all of that stuff is here. It's here. This is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about right now. Great, great, great move by the New York Knicks. I absolutely love it. I don't like the first-round picks, but you do have 11 first-round picks over 7 years going into this move. So you still got an abundance of first-round picks at your disposal. I love what I'm seeing. I'm incredibly happy. There's more work to do, but we took a step up last night.
He speaks for you, Sam. He speaks for you.
It's very hard for me to see him happy, but if it's because of the Knicks, I guess I'm going to have to live with it, Dan.
Raising Cane's.
I'll give him one of these for this because I agree in this point. I think, the Knicks have gotten better. I mean, you have to look at that. We did have an abundance of picks, and it's for a move like this, and I think he just is going to fit so beautifully. I think that one of the things about Bridges is that he's a malleable player. You can kind of play him on the wing. He can knock down those threes. He can get his own shot, and he's a hell of a defender. So I think this just makes everybody a little better, and it hopefully gives Josh Hart some rest for once. It lets these guys get a few less minutes a game.
You mentioned earlier Raising Cane. We're all in agreement that that's a wonderful restaurant when you're drunk, correct? There is no dispute from anybody in the audience.
It's good.
But especially
I don't know who
our
chicken sponsor is, so may or may not be.
When you're drunk is not much of an endorsement. I mean, I'll eat street meat when I'm drunk. Come on, I'll eat it.
I know, but I will eat chicken fingers and French fries more than anything in terms of absorbing alcohol than Raising Cane. Like, what? Come on, there's nothing.
Not lately. You look good, man. You look belt.
Okay. No one says
See
that.
how happy I am over the Bridges thing? I'm complimenting you.
He's even saying
crazy.
you look good.
It's unbelievable. I'm sorry. Thank you, Sam. Good talking to you. I appreciate it.
Orange and blue skies. The future is bright.
His new special is called You've Changed. It debuts July 9th on Prime Video. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, we're getting Kevin Durant.
We're going to go get Kevin Durant this
Kevin
segment
Durant.
if you'd like.
Okay.
Top cop on it.
Go get him. He's all yours.
All right. I'll go by the board.
We've already started. We started the
Go
last
by the board.
segment with
Get
everyone eating apples and eating into the microphone.
This is all I needed because Paul George, I got to tell you, wasn't doing anything for me. I've been making fun of that guy his entire career, and I really hate this recent trend of the Heat acquiring players I do not like and having to talk myself into them. It started with Jimmy Butler. That one worked out. I apologize. But then Kyle Lowry, and then Terry Rozier. Paul George is in that class, and I really don't want to have to work my way up for it. But Kevin Durant, Dan, this has always been the way. Phoenix stole him. He thought he was coming here, and he went over there, and it was an absolute mess, top to bottom, and now it looks like they might blow it up. And with Stephen A. saying that the Suns want to get rid of him and not the other way around, I'm thinking the Heat might be in on this if that's true.
Yeah, but he went to Brooklyn, and that, turned out to be a disaster. He went to Phoenix. They should have been good. They weren't good. You're going to trust Kevin Durant to run your team?
I see what's happening here. You're going to have to reconcile with a player that you haven't liked his entire career, and he shows up here, and if he does any winning, it's going to be confusing for you.
No, but you also did this the moment that he got some Knicks excitement about his player being acquired. The Knicks are in the game now. The Knicks are being discussed in a way that made everyone real uncomfortable, the way that ESPN celebrated that team for merely making the second round of the playoffs. The idea that that team, Stugotz, is a player away, to me, suggests that the player needs to be better than Brunson. The Miami Heat have been a player away. They need that player to be better than Jimmy Butler. I think Kevin Durant has done some damage to how it is that he is regarded in the last couple of years because he has not been able to lift the team and stay healthy post-Warriors to a championship. He's been very close. I would still want him on my team, but he's got body parts breaking down. And last year, the league got taken away from him and people his age. It got taken away by wings that do to him what Tatum did to him last year when they lined up against each other, and you saw the age difference on when Tatum, Stugotz, when Pritchard comes out. I don't know if you saw this, but when Pritchard comes out and hits the buzzer beater at the end of quarters that he's brought out to get, Jason Tatum went to jump up and do that chest bump celebration with a fellow athlete, and he just hit Pritchard in the face with his because he jumped so high and Pritchard can't get up as high. And so he just didn't do a chest bump of any sort. But now, because the NBA is in full swing here, we're going to get all sorts of transaction talk over the next couple of days because the draft itself stinks, Stugotz. The players that you can get in this draft are not as valuable as all the conversation that's going to start happening around the possible transactions. Jeremy's out by a board there in the other room with a series of permutations here that get kicked off by the Knicks now saying, we're in the game, we're a player away. Jeremy, what do you have over there?
Dan, there has been a ton of player movement already, and it's going to be a huge night. NBA draft, like you said, not a ton of top-tier talent available, but there's a ton of top-tier talent available to the NBA, and we saw one player in Mikal Bridges moved yesterday. The Knicks acquired the power of friendship with all 4 of their Villanova players. In return, Bojan Bogdanović goes to the Nets, but it's the 4 unprotected first-round picks, the 1 protected first-round pick via Milwaukee, and the second-round pick that go to the Brooklyn Nets. That, in turn, makes them sellers. So what happens with guys like Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Dennis Schroeder, Ben Simmons being brought up on draft night?
Thank you.
They also have a couple of their own picks that have now gone back. But the reason they ended up with a couple of those picks, another trade on top of the Knicks trade. It was with the Houston Rockets. And it's being reported that the Rockets have interest in players on the Phoenix Suns. They acquired the 2027 first-round pick of Phoenix. They acquired the ability to swap for the Suns' 2025 first-round pick and to swap for their 2029 first-round pick. Now, what does that mean? Could they trade for, say, a Kevin Durant? Well, according to Woj, Kevin Durant may be staying put. Maybe Houston's not that interested, but they'd be interested in Devin Booker. Now, that's a guy who could be traded to the Rockets if the Suns were willing to blow it up. And there are several other players potentially on the move. How about Paul George here? No more with the 76ers. Apparently, interest has waned. So what's going to happen with him and his player option? Are the Warriors going to be aggressive and move for Paul George? You also have players like DeJounte Murray, Trae Young, potentially Brandon Ingram, all available tonight. How about De'Aaron Fox, who has 2 years left and has yet to sign an extension with Sacramento? A fellow friend of Bam Adebayo. Speaking of those friends, Donovan Mitchell. Now, they have a new coach in Kenny Atkinson, who is now gone to Cleveland, but no extension signed just yet. So, Donovan Mitchell and the Heat, is that a potential for tonight or beyond? Or, as Stephen A. Smith mentions Kevin Durant this morning, the night of the NBA draft, and Phoenix wanting to move him, all of a sudden New York's out of the sweepstakes. The Nets are out of the sweepstakes as they tank. And who could want to acquire a potentially older scorer to go along with their older alpha and get a sort of quiet killer in Kevin Durant? Well, maybe, just maybe. Dan? It's the Miami Heat.
You're breathy.
Billy,
Are you out of breath?
Billy, can you go out there and translate for me, please? I need a Heat translator on that inefficient mess.
He did a bang-up job. That was.
I got to be honest. He's pretty good at that. I mean,
he's really good at that.
It is a mess that he's made on the board. I was hoping all of those points.
This doesn't make sense
arrows,
to you.
I was hoping that would be a drawing of something.
The Rockets are a really interesting team to monitor here, Jeremy. Thank you for opening my eyes to that.
The Rockets were a lot better than anyone expected them to be last year. I don't think we had Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks creating that much of a difference with that team. Billy, what are the translations here? You are over at the Heat board and you are writing on the board. What is that word you just wrote? I can't read it from here.
That word on the board here next, Heat, says nothing. So the way that this is going to work for the Heat is Kevin Durant is going to be headed to the Heat for nothing. Devin Booker is going to be headed to the Heat for nothing. And then we have Donovan Mitchell, I agree, headed to the Heat for nothing. Who else is on this board? Hartenstein, you want him? He's going to be headed over to the Heat. And they're going to trade nothing for him. And then that's going to be how tonight plays out for the Miami Heat. They're going to get all these players in exchange for
Excellent
nothing.
night. Excellent night for Pat Riley and the Miami Heat. They keep all their players. They get all the players that everyone else wants. And
and we give up 4 picks for Bridges.
That's right. And you give up all your first-round picks for a no-time All-Star. And the Miami Heat get everyone else. But, Lucy, how annoying did you find Mike Ryan as soon as the news filtered through the room that Kevin Durant might be available? It's the most Heat interest I've seen from him in about a couple of years.
Y'all literally think every single player under the sun wants to move to Miami. They don't, all right? It's not as fun here as it looks.
It is under the sun, however.
And he did want to be here. We know it to be true.
We know he doesn't like those suns anymore. Maybe he likes this one.
Go to the Connecticut Sun.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
On a Wednesday, huh? A Wednesday weekend observations.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste. Just 96 calories available for delivery. Dan, last year, they came up short in the postseason. But I've always said, you can't keep a great coach down. And behind some of the best players the sport has to offer, they got back to work, overcoming obstacle after obstacle with the hopes of getting back there to right the ship. And Monday night, they got their moment. Against all odds, they persevered, giving their passionate fan base a night they will never forget. Because for the first time in their history, they were crowned champions. And Dan, make no mistake about it, just like that, Tennessee baseball is back. The Vols.
That was an upset, yes. Yeah. Did you watch any of that Tennessee-Florida State game, the end of that game? Florida State must be so mad at the umpires.
I didn't watch.
It was an amazing ending.
Hold on a second. You were watching that game?
Yes.
I was watching.
No, I wasn't watching.
That
wasn't the championship game. It was over the weekend. Weekend observations on a Wednesday.
Yep, midweek. Game 3. Best 2 words in sports. I like the College World Series.
So do I.
I do. Leon Draisaitl, 40-plus goals in the regular season, 0 in the Stanley Cup final. You know what the D in Draisaitl stands for, Dan?
Disappeared.
Donut.
Oh, okay.
Draisaitl gonna save you.
No, he's not.
Hey. Dan, you know what the M in Connor McDavid stands for?
I do not.
Not Mr. Game 7. Maybe Mr. Game 4, perhaps Mr. Game 5, but not and never Mr. Game 7. How about that?
So what does the M stand for if not Mr. Game 7?
I don't know.
Okay. Wow, you don't know either. Okay.
Yeah.
Just not
Mr. Game 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Game 4.
Yeah. God rested on the 7th day. Maybe McJesus thought he should rest on the 7th game. I liked it. Dan, let me ask you a question. You think Mark Messier would break Canada's heart the way McDavid did? Do you?
I do not.
You know what the M in Mark Messier stands for?
Messiah.
Mr. Game 7.
Oh, does it? Okay.
You know what the other M in Mark Messier stands for?
I do not.
More Mr. Game 7.
More
Yes.
Mr. Game 7, of course.
Messiah.
I'm sorry. I thought it was merely Messiah.
Mr. Game 7. Just me? Or does anyone else feel like the Sky play the Fever every other night?
There are only 12 teams in the league, so they play each other a lot.
Tom Habistro is doing deep dives into Jordan's defensive stats from 1988. Hey, Tom, get a hobby. The H in Haberstro stands for hobby. Get one.
Hobbyless.
Love you, by the way. But hobby. I mean, who does that? Why are we deep diving into Jordan's defensive stats from 1988? What are we doing?
He likes to uncover things.
Uncover a hobby. I mean, seriously.
All right. I feel like his hobby
I love
is
you, Tommy.
Uncovering. It doesn't sound like you love it.
I do love him, but it was a waste of his time.
It's his career.
I don't care what he unearths, Dan. Nothing is going to change my opinion that Michael Jordan's the greatest player and athlete of all time. I don't care.
You didn't find the reporting interesting on faked defensive stats?
I didn't read it.
Okay.
But, Tommy, since you're diving, see if you can find his 2 MVP awards that somehow went to Barkley and Malone while you're down there. Thank you.
Just because the voters were bored.
I hate that.
That is what happened. They
Stupid,
just
though.
didn't want to keep giving it to the same guy.
Yeah.
Jokic is going to suffer from some of this.
You think?
Yeah, they're not going to just keep giving it to him. They're going to find reasons to give it to somebody else.
You have to give it to him, though. He's the most valuable player in the league. And so is Jordan. And Malone and Barkley stole him. So if we're going to deep dive, go find those things.
I gotcha.
All right.
All right.
Get a hobby.
I feel like giving him the award, though, like if they get mad at him, they'd give it to him because of how much he would hate it.
They can do that, too.
Christian Pulisic. No? Pulisic? Captain America.
That's easier. Yeah, that's better. Captain America.
That goal. Take a bow. The C in Christian stands for Captain America. The P in whatever his last name is still stands for penis.
Because the goal went off his penis.
Yes, thank you, Mike.
It's Pulisic. And the keeper should have done better.
Alexi Lawless criticizes the American team like he did something when he played. Hey, Alexi, you didn't.
He did.
He didn't.
Big upset over Colombia.
What'd he do?
I mean,
on the heels of that, they had
Did he
some
win
success.
anything?
But he did beat Colombia, no?
How many World Cups does he have, though?
Thank you.
I'm asking.
No,
I actually
zero.
don't know.
Zero? It's zero.
Yeah, the U.S. men's national team has won
I knew
0
that.
World Cups.
They win a Copa something? Or
You were just asking. Did they win a Copa something?
Shohei Ohtani batted 41 last week with 6 home runs. $700 million. Bargain.
It is crazy how good that human being is at baseball. It doesn't make any sense.
Next year he pitches again.
I mean, he hit a ball the other day 476 feet.
Mike, I'm sorry about Lawless. You're right.
I'm not a fan. Go for it.
All right. You seemed upset about it. That's all.
I mean, he has one of the more iconic moments in
Okay.
U.S. men's national history.
Stugotz, just so you know, just so that so that you understand what it is to hit a baseball 476 feet. It's a football field and a half. He hit a baseball a football field and a half.
Thank you for explaining that. You know how far I drive a golf ball?
Not as far as you say you do, because everyone around here says you're
Two
not.
football fields.
Everyone here says you're not any good at golf.
200 yards, guys. Come on.
And all you've been telling us.
or
No. I love a little squibber.
just let it roll?
Yeah. I love a golf course where they don't have a lot of rough between the tee box and the fairways. And then it just rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls. 275 yards later, boom. Sorry, Mike.
U.S. Soccer did make a ballsy move today. Emma Hayes, with her first real big-time decision, decided no Alex Morgan on the Olympic roster.
Wow, it's a travesty.
It's the right call, but it's a gutsy call. Real gutsy.
Terrible call.
That is so good. That is so on brand for Stugotz to elevate immediately to the delivery of news that he knows nothing about to calling it immediately a travesty so that no one can have a stronger take on that front with less information than him. Just goes straight to travesty.
Word choice is everything.
The
Dan.
travesty meter just gets straight. I'm surprised he didn't go to tragedy.
To the gentleman at Hartsfield International Airport who entered the bathroom stall and yelled out, "Heels up," as a warning before he started taking care of business. Thank you. I got out of there.
Yeah.
He yelled, heels up.
It was a warning.
Funny. Nobody gets hurt jogging around the bases more than Giancarlo Stanton.
Amen.
He is
just jog around.
He really is made of balsa wood or what rattan, like I don't know, wicker.
Yeah, wicker. Sergei Bobrovsky, get yourself a travel agent and book a one-way ticket to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Sergey.
I don't care.
Sergalicious.
Get a travel agent, book a one-way ticket to the
Yeah,
Hockey
get
Hall
on
of
that.
Fame. Hobby.
Sergey the Duchess.
Phillies.
He came closer to his name than Ryan Clark did. We called him Dave. Dave Bobrovsky.
Phillies with the old 1-3-5 triple play. Baseball. When cops swarmed the green on 18, do you think any part of Scotty Scheffler thought, oh no, not again? You see that?
I wish Scheffler had handled all of that less golfing. just make it slightly more interesting than you did.
Tip of the cap to Willie Mays, the say hey kid. We didn't do enough with that. I'm not certain what we're supposed to do, but we didn't do enough with it.
Greg Cody was really good on it.
Okay, we did.
Greg Cody wept talking about it.
You were spearing.
I was.
He cried on air. It was an emotional day, though.
Yep. Jaylen Brown lost a ring at the Celtics championship parade. I don't know who found it, but I can promise you one person who didn't. Chris Paul. The C in Chris Paul stands for couldn't find a ring if it fell in his lap.
What are you going to do if he ends up with the Knicks?
He won't.
You never know.
He won't. You have him ending up with the Knicks?
You never know.
The Knicks aren't that dumb.
A trade, a buyout.
They used to be dumb. No longer dumb. They make smart moves now.
So Kyle Lowry.
Smart move. Has a title. Does Chris Paul? No. Dan, don't look now. But the Mets are 10-2 since Grimace threw out the first pitch. Mr. Met, hot seat.
What do you mean hot seat?
I mean, Grimace.
You're going to replace Mr. Met as the mascot because you
Mr.
won
Met's not working.
8 out of 10?
10 out of 12. What do you mean?
10 out of 12?
10
and
2.
you're going to replace Mr. Met?
Yeah. If we keep winning. Hot seat. Keep an eye on it. Oilers fans at the arena celebrating with their phones for a Conn Smythe trophy. You should be ashamed of yourself. It's embarrassing. You lost the Stanley Cup. You're celebrating a guy who didn't deserve to win the Conn Smythe trophy. That's what you're celebrating with your phones out? You stuck around for that? What a joke. You seem to agree. You're shaking your head yes.
I do not agree that he shouldn't have won the trophy. I do not agree with that.
The only way that game was going to end was with the puck pinned up against the boards. The barn was rocking Monday. Top 5 athletes. That connotes something you would find in a barn. OLI. Joe McGrain. Goose Gossage. Number 5, Duck Hodges. Number 4, Chick Hearn. Number 3, Chad Henne.
Just a hen?
Yeah. Number 2, Michael Cooper. Coop. Number 1, Michael Jordan.
Thought you were going to go say hey kid because we didn't do enough with him.
Goat. Here come the cards. Steve Kwan is batting .385. Have no idea who he is, but he's good. You know who he is? Kwani. My Twitter account got hacked. Apparently, Deadhead420 was an easy-to-guess password. Andrew Brandt. He sent me a link. I got all excited. I thought he was sending me some football information. I didn't look.
It was Andrew Brandt?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I mean, I thought I was privy to some really great information. I couldn't open that attachment quick enough.
What did it say before the link?
That's the way to get him.
Please.
The way to get him is
Copyright infringement.
Andrew Brandt.
That's the way to get him. Just send him a link that might get him some football information. It's the only way to get him.
It's amazing.
I was wondering what it was.
I responded, what is this? He didn't respond back. I sent it to Adnan, who's very good friends with him, Team Federer, and he said, I get him all the time, just delete it. I said, football information, I am not deleting that. I opened it. Sorry to everyone, including Reese Davis, who sent me a text. Oh, man. I was cleaning up that mess the entire weekend.
I don't know. That whoever was fishing did their research.
Andrew Brandt. Damn it. Rory McIlroy.
Oh, no.
McIlroy?
Yes.
Skipped the Travelers Championship after choking away the U.S. Open. Imagine a quarterback throwing a bad interception late and then saying, I think I'll take off next week. Grow up. Who does that? He missed those putts. Not the Travelers Championship. Not the great people of Northern Connecticut. He missed the putt.
That's right.
He has an obligation to show up to that tournament and play for the people who purchased tickets to that tournament. That is a terrible job by Rory. It is. He missed them. He choked.
That's right. That's correct.
I mean, imagine, seriously, throwing a pick six against the Chiefs and you say, hey, you know what, late in the game. And then you say to your teammates after the game, Dan, hey, you know what, next week, take it off against Carolina. Thank you.
He doesn't play a team sport, though.
I don't care. I mean, Dan, people purchased tickets a long time ago to see the best player in the world, and he's not showing up because he choked. They didn't choke. Anyway, well, I'm so mad about this.
Is he the best player in the world?
He's one of the best players in the world, yes. Roy should get a ring.
One of isn't the same as the best player in the world.
He is certainly, listen, any tournament he shows up to, he is one of the guys that if you're going to purchase tickets for the tournament, that's one of the guys you're going to see. He's especially with that field. It's a good field, but I think he's the best player in that field. I don't think Scotty's playing.
Maybe he was getting his affairs in order.
Roy should get a ring. Made me happy to see him happy as hell. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
The criticism, Stugotz, is pouring in from all over the internet. Dan saying this championship was earned is so pathetic. He can't even enjoy the celebration without taking a shot at the Celtics. It's sad, really. People thought Vegas fans were annoying last year. Well, you guys top them. My favorite thing is nobody on this show but Roy caring about the Panthers until like 3 years ago, and now they're all acting like they've waited their whole lives for this moment. Peak Miami right there. Why does Mike Ryan keep saying this Panthers team is or should be considered an all-time great team? Does he not remember the Red Wings teams from the late 90s?
Ooh.
Or the Avalanche teams that came after them? Do you not remember them, Mike? Do you not remember them?
I did one segment where I said one of the best teams in the 21st century. Those were great teams.
How about the Lanch, though?
The Lanch were good.
The Red Wings teams, I would say
the Lanch were good.
They were
Joe
probably better.
Sakic,
The Red Wings were also exceptional.
Yeah, they're really good teams. Love sports, man.
Let's do against the spread.
Do you think his tone was what you read it as? Yeah.
I do, yes.
People are funny.
Why does Mike keep saying this Panthers team is or should be considered an all-time great? Does he not remember the Red Wings teams of the late 90s?
Well, funny voice person, those teams should also be considered as all-time teams. Not taking anything away from anybody.
You were taking it away from somebody. Once you give it to somebody else, you're taking it away from somebody.
Just a little piece.
You took a little bit away from Stevie Eiserman. You took a little bit and you gave it over here. You gave it over here, to Barkov, and Yzerman wanted that.
I saw a lot of smart people calling this the best NHL season of all time. If one team ends up winning the championship during the best NHL season of all time, maybe they should be considered among the best of all time.
Couldn't agree more.
But Dan is right. Yzerman wants that piece back.
I'm not taking anything away from Yzerman.
You are taking it from him.
Peace.
He wants it.
He should probably find a goalie. That's what he should do in Detroit because they got a good young team. Find a goalie.
Who's starting us off on Against the Spread?
Did someone say spread? Dan, Against the Spread is sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. We're going to start out with Mike.
We're going to the Mexican Baseball League.
Oh, really?
I'm gambling again.
Really? The Mexican Baseball League.
Right.
Yeah. We're fading Fernando Flores Jr. and that near 8 ERA. This is a classic story of good pitcher versus bad pitcher, and we're taking Tabasco against the spread.
That's a great name.
It is a great name. Does he throw heat? Does he throw heat? Tell me he throws heat.
No, the team name is Tabasco.
Oh.
Yeah.
Everyone throws heat.
Great name for a team.
Yeah.
Jeremy?
So we're going over to Euro 2024, and my great-great-great-grandparents lived in the area that is now Turkey. So we're taking Turkey plus 170 against Czech Republic against the spread.
So the Ottoman Empire is why you're making that.
Yeah, that's
This is
right.
an odd Against the Spread.
I also
here.
like turkey sandwiches.
Do we not have anything going on in this country worth betting?
I'm not allowed to gamble
Well,
on any of it.
since you
Dan.
said so, I'm going to head over to the WNBA.
Wow.
And I'm going to do something kind of bold. I'm feeling a little crazy. I think I'm going to take the Fever +8 at the Storm. Now, the Storm have been one of the best teams all season. I know the Fever are coming off a loss, but it was a 5-game win streak before. They're starting to figure things out. I don't think the Fever win, but I think they cover. Against the spread. Love you, Caleb.
Stugotz?
Dan, a little something I like to call the Subway Series. The Mets, the Yankees, Citi Field. Mets won game 1. Yanks have lost 2 straight. They have lost 3 consecutive series, by the way. They're starting to panic in New York. The Mets are 10-2 since Grimace.
They have lost 2 straight, and they are starting to panic.
There's that. Well, 3 straight series.
Yeah.
And Grimace.
Grimace is the
Mets are 10-2. I am taking the Mets plus 1.5, minus 155. The New York Mets against
the
spread.
Minus 155 to get the run? To get
plus 1.5, yeah. So the Yankees can win by 1. You still win.
Okay, but
that's how you play.
All right,
Against
listen.
the spread.
If you don't like it that way, I'll take them plus 105. Okay.
Against the
No,
spread.
but that's money lines. That's different.
And that was against the spread.
Thank you.
Draft.
The poll that we had up, did the Monopoly Man ever have a monocle? 77% of the people say he did have a monocle, even though this is an example of the Mandela effect. Jeremy, do you have any other good examples of the Mandela effect for us?
Hello, Clarice. Not a line ever said in The Silence of the Lambs.
Nope.
Good morning. Hello individually. No hello, Clarice. There's also some people believe that they've seen the Mona Lisa frowning. That is not the case. The Mona Lisa does not frown. The biggest one is the Berenstain Bears. Everyone remembers them as the Berenstain Bears, a Jewish bear family, but in fact, they are actually the Berenstain Bears and have always been. People thought that there was a switch at one point in time, but nope, they have always been the Berenstain Bears.
Thank you. Lucy, are you excited at all about the NBA draft? The draft is upon us. The sports calendar does not stop. It moves very quickly, and I suspect the transactions are going to engulf everybody the next couple of days.
No, I'm more worried about the other draft into the military.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Sphere in Vegas. NHL draft at the Sphere.
So there's a bill that has been passed in the House that's probably going to go through the Senate soon. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to Schoolhouse Rock. But so basically, the rule has been that like men are automatically eligible for the draft and like entered at wartime. Well, guess who they're adding to that? women, and I am not cool with this. So I wanted to come on this show and campaign why I would be a really bad choice for the Army.
Oh.
Because I'm still in the age range. I still have about a year left before they wouldn't draft me. I cannot be in the Army because, one, I'm just not cut out for it. I'm anti-war. Two, can't keep a secret. I'll tell the spies everything. If I get captured, even the threat of anything, I will tell them. I don't even care. They don't even have to ask. I'll just tell them, okay? I get tummy issues when I'm anxious. I know if I'm in the battlefield, I will be so anxious. My hair looks terrible pulled back in a tight bun. It will not work for anyone. This is just not a good fit. If you work for the government, don't put my name on there.
All right.
I am not good. I cannot fight for this country.
Okay. Not because you don't believe in it or pieces of its principles, just because you're not made for war.
Well, I don't like war, but I didn't agree to any of the other stuff you just said there.
Yeah.
All right.
I just really don't want to wear my hair back. And camo does not look good on me either. That's not my color wheel.
All right.
If it were blue, I'd consider it.
All right. So the U.S. government should
Perhaps
not.
the Navy?
Should not.
Never mind. Take it back.
So don't draft Jessica. Do not draft her. I do hope that I get a payoff for this at some point before I leave at the end of this week. Edmonton is denying our request to put up billboards with the note, "Apologies, but your ad request will not be processed, and I'm no longer able to assist with this." Response from our team is as follows. We have declined your request for advertising. Part of our creative approval process includes aligning with community standards and respecting the sensibilities of all stakeholders, including our audience, who in this case are the citizens of Edmonton, as well as our partners. And this messaging does not meet those standards. Look at the big smile on Juju's face there. Greg Cody continues to be in the middle of everything. I think the billboards are pretty benign. Stugotz at some point is going to negotiate with some of the people over there, and hopefully we could broadcast that for you tomorrow.
I'm only going to do that if Juju thinks I should do that. You know, he might think it's a bad idea, and I tend to follow Juju wherever he goes.
All right, Juju, what are your thoughts here? Do you have any thoughts for us before
He's been
we
going
get
to a lot of dead shows, I guess.
before we get to the critique you have of today's show? What are your thoughts here on what it is that we're doing, can do, should do, will do, won't do?
I think this is a case. I think that, look, man, whenever it was just up to us, should we do the billboards? I think that we could have had more courage in that sense. But since Edmonton has reached out and said, no, we don't want to be a part of this, we have to respect that. It's like we can't tell them how to feel once they've been offended. Sort of like some of my posts over the weekend. Once they tell me, hey, I don't like it, it's not up to me to be like, well, this is why you should like it. No, they're offended, so I should take those posts down. And I think we're losing the point. We don't have a problem with Edmonton. Last time I checked, do we hate Edmonton?
No.
I don't hate Edmonton. I think we should put those billboards to better use so they can support my brother even more. Let's put these billboards right next to the Miami Herald. So every time every employee who drives up to the Herald, they see the face of the guy that built this place brick by brick.
So you want us to put up the billboards here. You want us to put them up in Miami.
Yes. I asked Greg Cody. I'm sure he would love that even more. Because Edmonton, we don't even know any of those guys.
He'll put them up himself.
I also don't know that the people of Edmonton are actually offended. It's just a billboard company speaking on their behalf. I don't know if the billboard company speaks on behalf of all of Edmonton here.
All right, Dan, take a straw poll.
What is that?
Juju, what do you have for us in the way of criticism today?
I don't have any criticism for today's show. That's one place I will start. The fans of the show have been letting me know how they feel about my criticism of the show. So they want me to be less critical. So I will take a page out of that book and say, look, I show grace. There was one time where you remembered Emily's name and not Lucy's name. That was a gaffe. But I don't think you're wrong. I'm not casting blame. Everybody's right. You know what I mean? They tell me I've been also in my mentions. They say, Jude, I love you, man, but you've been so emotional the last couple of days. And you know what, you guys, you're right. I got to take a page out of my own book as well. Stop being so dang emotional. Even though you're right, nobody cares about that. I have to stop being so emotional.
Juju, I appreciate that you always take accountability on these things. I also think it's unnecessary. I want you to be the ombudsman. I want you to be the voice of the fan. The fan spends a lot of time criticizing us. In the last few years, I would say more so than ever, although I suspect the last couple of weeks of shows have been something they've entertained because when sports are fun and we're totally engaged, that tends to be pretty fun for our audience. So I don't imagine that there are a great many complaints these days, the last few days, even though there are always complaints around here about something. It's what the internet is for. It's what it was built for.
Right. If I do have a complaint, let's be nicer to each other. We were more mean to each other than happy that the Panthers won. What is happening here? I want to tune into this show and I want to hear you tell everybody in Edmonton right where they can go. And guess what? Here's a hint. Art Browse is over there sipping Mai Tais. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I want to tell Connor McJesus, you're great. I'm not emotional. You're great, McJesus. But you didn't win the Stanley Cup. I want to tell Leon Draisaitl, welcome to another year of not being a Stanley Cup champion. Loser, you're going to put your forearm in our captain's face like that? I did not like that. We kept it cool. We respected you. We waited to the end of the series. But guess what? You're a loser. Purple drink. Purple drink. We are Stanley Cup champions. What is happening around here? Mm-hmm. Salute.
Do you guys all do realize, right, that Panthers fans have no evidence that Draisaitl is good at hockey? There's no evidence. That is a very confusing thing. That Edmonton.
Now there's a billboard that I'm pretty sure Edmonton will get behind that billboard. No evidence.
Edmonton.
But no, I'm not emotional.
Not
they
emotional.
would get behind that. He's right.
Not emotional. But Panther fans really do believe, based on the coverage of this series by this show, that Edmonton only has one great player. There really was. Draisaitl. When were you ever aware that Draisaitl was out there doing anything?
Game 6, yeah. And when he's illegally hitting our captain and not getting punished for
it. You're right. And we kept it cool. Even, you see, E-Rod came on the show. He kept it graceful. He said, look, we're not going to get into that. We got one mission. We got to win the Stanley Cup. And guess what? The mission has been conquered. Brother. I became a Panthers fan because of Michael Ryan Ruiz. I just wanted to see my brother happy. But as much as these games started getting in the 3-3, and my heart was involved at this point. I'm watching. You should have seen me in here watching the game 7 with me and my girl. Oh my God! I commend Mike. Oh my goodness! You kept it together. You did me. You came back and you showed grace to Greg Cody, and that's all we want to see. We just want to see y'all love each other, and we got the W. Oh my God! It's so beautiful.
One of the coolest things, Stugotz, to me about this run, and obviously you know how much gratitude that I have in general for this as a platform and our audience, but to see so many people who did not care about hockey just because this show was caring about hockey. Like it was pretty cool to see.
It's a cool article and awful announcing about it.
That people were gathered around just interested because sports were having, and they had a rooting interest through this show. It was it made me feel very strongly that what it is that we do here every once in a while lands in the way that you want it to land, even though it comes with a great deal of criticism, because it's an odd thing to have happen. I don't think a lot of shows have that particular loyalty and sway over an audience to get you to care about something you don't actually care about.
Now, how do we use that power to make everyone in Edmonton feel like shit?
No, we don't do that, brother. It's Men's Mental Health Month on top of that. Like, it's been a lot of brothers reaching out to me over the month, and I feel like I let them down because the NBA Finals was so much been going on. I haven't had a chance to do a wake and take or just sit down and just talk to my brothers out there and my sisters out there, dog. Like, this is an important time to let each other know, dog, like, bro, I care about you. I understand. Sometimes as adult men, we be feeling so ashamed to be having problems. I be ashamed myself. I'm going to open up myself. I be ashamed to be wrong sometimes. I be ashamed to be embarrassing myself in front of y'all and stuff like that. So I have to be a better, I have to give myself more grace, as well as I know all my brothers out there as well. You have these situations and problems. Look, I'm not gonna ramble. I'm a rambling man, just like my brother Dan. But at the same time, if you want to reach out, if you want to talk, send me a DM, brother. I promise I'm gonna get to it over the next couple of weeks. Let's have an open dialogue, man. Let's just facilitate this, just the communication, brother. Let's have camaraderie as brothers. If you out there, you listening. If you need somebody to talk to,
just don't answer the one from Andrew Brandt.
Yeah, be careful with that one. Be careful.
Sounds like we should wait till July 1st for the Billboard stand.